Hello, SpeedGaming. Welcome to the SMZ3 SpeedGaming Live tournament. This is the finals. Great matchup here we got coming up. Osse versus apathyduck. And I'm Ace0. Joining on comms is Maniacal. How are you doing, Maniacal?
Yo, Ace. I'm doing real well. Other than, calming the finals instead of playing the finals. But I'm really excited. I think both these guys are absolutely great. The quarter of Osse's face that we have in frame, and I'm waiting for the repeating duck clip. But Osse's a chair. Why is he a chair?
Why not? Chair rolls just as fast as Samus, so as long as it doesn't mess up any of his visual cues. I've definitely seen Osse use the chair before and a couple other silly sprites, so
yeah. I don't know
I'm
how
sure
he's
got some sort of visual cue for the chair. But
yeah, both getting out of Super Metroid, finding that hook shot on Hylia Island, and we'll see what the save and quit is, both to Link's house. Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe quickly enough back to Super Metroid, we'll see. So, Ace, you find Morph Ball early in A Link to the Past. How much A Link to the Past do you do?
I would say I still do a pretty good amount. It depends a lot on what other movement items we see, and of course what ammo we see. You need a power bomb pack, a super missile pack to be able to do, big chunks of the game. But on top of that, you want at least one more power bomb pack to clear Brinstar. Really, any other movement item just helps so much. So I suggest, I would expect them to wait just a little bit. Obviously, Kakariko, South Shore, some of those just super dense areas. Yeah, it's a very generous start still, not having to worry about that Morph Ball coming up late or having to decide to do, early Brinstar without Morph.
Yeah, I also tend to want to clear out at least all of Kakariko, probably South Shore as well, just because every extra thing that you get for Super Metroid to make it faster, ammo-wise or movement-wise, is so impactful in the early game that I'd feel really silly if I, left Speed Booster in Smoldorm Cave or something by pushing to Super Metroid early. Looks like both runners are on the same route, but we did get a map check, I think, from Duck, and I think we saw 3 pendants in the Light World.
It was 2 pendants and 1 Super Metroid boss token.
Oh, okay.
The token was on Desert Palace. Looks like our tracker Ike here, shout out to Ike here, got those marked for us.
Okay, I thought Desert was the green pendant. I just saw a quick green flash down there. I was like, oh man.
That's maybe the trickiest thing about some of the new settings is those are hard to get used to and sometimes a little bit difficult to see to make out what they are. But I believe it was the Kraid boss specifically, so that checks out.
Yeah, that one shows up green.
Yeah. Well, before we get to Super Metroid, no power bombs to do most of the checks there. These guys are really looking for, a few bombs and a few rupees. It looks like they're in nice shape with the tree pole being bombs and enough rupees that they'll get the remainder of what they need for bottle vendors. They won't have to leave anything behind in Kakariko. That's really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely have had to isolate bottle vendor early in a seed recently, just because when you're splitting the items between A Link to the Past and Super Metroid, it's the same number of checks you get in Kakariko, but it's just slightly less likely to be the rupees that you're going to need. So it's good to have those in order early, just be able to clear out pretty much everything. But yeah, we are guaranteed that somewhere in Sphere 1, all of our ammo packs are. I think they made that change a while back. And so the power bombs are somewhere out there. We just haven't found them yet.
We do have a plasma beam. That's a nice thing to have before Super Metroid as well. Hopefully the runners remember to turn it on, probably at either immediately so they don't forget, or maybe the nearest elevator, to save just a little bit of time on that menu. But that'll save time just clearing out rooms, saving on using missiles and supers on enemies. So definitely worth equipping.
Yeah, I think the elevator thing's like 23 frames if you get it. And I feel like I would probably save 23 frames by having Plasma Beam on earlier.
Yeah.
So I probably wouldn't wait, but we'll see what the runners choose to do.
More interesting things. We got the book. First E-Tank is really nice, and supers.
And E-Tank, the bottle vendor, that not unwelcome. Astor correcting me, thinks it's 48 frames. I'll trust Astor on that for sure. I definitely haven't timed it out myself. Someone, Duck. Why, dude? Trying to throw a chicken through a wall.
As long as he doesn't pick up the chicken as the bomb blows up, that's the dangerous thing to do. You can actually get locked and stuck with the chicken above your head, and you can't go through the door.
I thought it was if it was on the frame where it would stop or start moving, but I don't know.
It might be. I thought it was picking up the chicken specifically.
Yeah,
I could be wrong. I've had
bad things can happen.
I've had it soft locked me before, and I stopped doing that meme because it's no fun to have to save and quit and not check the item because
nothing good can come of it. Only bad things happen. And
well, either way, we got some bombs farmed on Osse's side. Gonna be maybe a little disappointed to get the 300 rupees. Duck was able just to spike those, avoid doing the farm with his last bomb, and purchase some more.
Yeah, I don't know how Duck ended up that far down below the library, but he went back up and checked it. Maybe he was thinking about skipping it. Is blind checking the race game? How do you feel about that, Ace?
I like that check a lot in SMZ3. I think even if it's just a missile pack there, it's going to be useful early. There's so many more things that are marginally useful. You're already sinking some of the time to check it. I'd probably pick up that missile pack, but I guess Duck says no.
Yeah. I could reasonably see not grabbing a missile pack there. I probably would grab it. But yeah, I also like the blind race gameplay, and Osse agrees as well.
If it was supers or power bombs or an E-Tank, even a reserve, the first one especially, like there's no way they'd be skipping that. So
yeah,
I like the blind check just in case, especially when both of them just had to make sure they had plenty of bombs. So it's not like that bomb is going to put them in a tough spot to be able to do South Shore. They still have 9 each to get through the mini Moldorm Cave and over to Ice Rod. So yeah, I think it's fine to do that.
You heard it here first. Ace is cursing the runners to have the worst mini Moldorm Cave we've ever seen. Where 9 bombs will not do the trick.
It can happen.
It's happened to me.
It's happened to me too. I think we've all been there. Anyone who's played this game, at least a handful of times, has had a rough go of that. Third E-Tank, that's pretty nice. Maybe we get to Upper Norfair quickly with a flute or something and get some early hell runs. Pull these E-Tanks.
I've started recently where, like, if I grab the flooded item, half the time I'm just, like, gonna walk all the way left to Agena, because otherwise I'm just never going there.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that, and I think that definitely has a lot of merit. It's still such a small percentage of what that walk is that you're not, like, almost there.
No.
But I definitely get it. If you're committed to doing it anyway, being thorough, I think that makes sense.
We got some high jump boots and a bottle. And I guess the high jump boots are enough, and Duck is not going to do Ice Rod Cave. I think maybe this is a function of being against Osse in a race.
I totally agree.
You probably want to cut some corners. Osse, very, very good. Duck got his power bombs and his high jump boots and said, that'll do.
He says, no, I don't want those high jump boots. Or apparently to equip his plasma beam while he was already menuing. Hopefully he remembers at some point. Well, actually, you know what? He probably doesn't want that for the flames going to Fantoon. It looks like he's going to CWJ and do Fantoon immediately.
Yep.
I kind of like this.
This is very much a Duck thing. To end up in the front of the moat is very much a QWERTY thing, but Duck is going to go into the moat. See if
Doesn't
he
think he's
can.
trying to set up for the CWJ though at this
No,
point.
I think he
He's just
wants
trying
the
to grab
bombos
item.
first. Yeah.
And then he's going to go for it separately, or is he going to bail?
Oh, he's
If
bailing.
he's bailing like this, I'm confused on why he even turned off the high jump. That's going to help with his movement, just in general. But
I think Duck might need like a Super Metroid coach or something. I hear they're out there. We could get him one.
yeah, I was thinking maybe he's just changed his mind. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I know I mentioned this actually in the previous race the Duck had, that he's very much somebody that always surprises me when he races, and usually he's got some kind of plan that I just don't see, or something that's way more advanced than I was thinking. Is really smart. Occasionally it's on the opposite side, but there's always going to be something he does that I just can't figure out. Yeah, he might be thinking better of it. Or he might be just setting up for the early X-ray, too. He does know that's a strat that Osse is very good at and tends to do. So he might just be going down Red Tower, doing X-ray into the early Upper Norfair checks.
Yeah.
Whereas Osse doing Saha and getting nothing.
Go down here and farm the zeros, get some power bombs. And Osse is back in Super Metroid. Duck remembering all the 300s that we both skipped in our race and grabbing that one there. And Osse is also going right from the ship. Going left from the ship with just one power bomb pack is really miserable a lot of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would speculate that Osse doing Sahasrahla, like the big thing he wanted there was really just like a power bomb pack.
This looks like a CWJ frame, and yep, Osse's across.
Very nice. With the chair.
Yeah, like I don't understand how you do that. I mean, to be fair, out of the item fanfare, it's exactly like vanilla. The timing is pretty easy. Duck is getting a little bullied here by the spikes in X-ray.
We'll see how much time he sinks into this, if he is able to get it right away with a second attempt. It's always neat to see the different setups people have for the beginning of this room. There's like at least 3 or 4 different ways you can consistently time that first D-boost on the waiver, and then the back half tends to be the same no matter how you do it to get the setup. And very nicely done on the second attempt.
Duck is across, and Osse is also across the ocean, and Duck finding Quake. So not super high value, but definitely not one of those things that you're sad to see.
Yeah, we have 2 pendants in Light World, so there's an extreme. We definitely need at least 1 medallion, and there's a really good chance we need 2. So Duck's got to be really careful.
Oh, he KO'd the waiver or just missed the waiver hitbox?
He just missed the waiver. I was thinking he might have tried to land on that little block, but I don't know if he can. I guess the waivers would have been past him, then he would have to wait for them to come back around to deboost.
Yeah, well, now he's got that Quake intel and does have that Red Tower save, so this is actually not that bad of a loss.
Oh, for sure. I think he's now not going back for the rupees or the power bombs down at.
Yeah, I thought he might grab the power bombs from those zeros. Maybe he's gonna at least farm the B-Tom here, and maybe use that power bomb to grab some Fire Fleas.
Maybe. Well, the problem is he's going to want to check Spazer, and those are. Well, I guess he power bombs here and goes back in. And, yeah, that's what you're talking about.
To go in to farm the Fire Fleas, which is a weird choice relative to just farming the 3 zeros. But I'm sure you're a little flustered taking a death like that on the way back out of X-ray after doing the front part so well. Like, he was just about through it.
Yeah. Osse, meanwhile, doing a really good job keeping his health up and everything during this Vantoon fight. It's like 3 round. Nice, comfy on-screen 3 round for him. Very well done. And good resources for clearing out the rest of the ship if he chooses to do so. without movement, the top of wreck ship can be terrible. Only 5 power bombs too, so like making sure you can get everything is tough.
A lot of big things just happened. So Osse got a 5/6 crystal from Fantoon, and Duck finding gravity at Spazer. So both of those are actually pretty interesting things. We'll see if, I mean, Spazer, Osse's going to check it at some point. But having that early could be nice, and it could provide Duck with some options to make a play up into Meridia a little more aggressively if he's looking to maybe force some divergence.
Yeah, he also checked the Meridia map, and we saw it looked like Fantoon was the reward. So it's an SM token for Dragon. I know it's the only yellow icon on the map, so when you see yellow and SM on the map, sometimes it's hard to read the letter, for me at least, but the yellow one is Fantoon, that is an SM token.
Yeah, and we know from Osse talking to Sahasrara that this Kraid coming up is the green pendant. We'll see if Osse chooses to skip this or not. It's a 4-item play. It's a little slow. I'd probably still do it, but we'll see if it turns up anything for Duck.
Yeah, it's fast enough that it feels silly to check the map to try to figure out if you should do it or not, but it's slow enough that there's definitely value in skipping it if you already have that info.
Now Duck is out of ammo here, or out of relevant ammo for this Kraid fight. So is going to have to farm the missile dropping. Oh, he got a super from the claw? What is this?
I think he was only a missile away from finishing the fight anyway. I'm not sure. He might have been a super away, but he got 3 shots in the opener.
I don't know that I've ever seen the Kraid Claw drop a super missile. And Osse finding his green rupee.
That's a really clean jump there. He put his high jump boots back on, so that makes that jump a lot harder.
Very tough.
Even though it makes the rest of those rooms easier to get there, that makes that one so much harder. Yeah, so gravity, I'm curious how that's going to just influence Duck to do here. I would suspect he's still going to do high jump area first, but does that pull him into either wreck ship using the gravity jump to get across mode easily, or maybe into Meridia without any other real movement, without space jump or speed?
I feel like you probably played a Meridia here, but haven't really found much for A Link to the Past other than that sword. That sword will be nice for Old Man Rescue, depending on how practiced Duck is doing it completely in the dark. But I like just getting the sword to help with keeping track of myself in the dark rooms. Osse and Duck both leaving hearts behind. It's a nice little deboost there, and the Moon Pearl here at high jump boots.
That's just one part of the Dark World package. We don't have anything else to indicate that's coming up soon.
Yeah, we'll see what Osse does. See if he gets his wall jump here as a chair off of the Tripper.
He wasn't able to get the fast setup he was going for. I know the hitbox on those Trippers functions the same, it just is moving. But it feels 1,000 times harder. Those things are moving.
It's really awkward.
The reserve for all that work.
Yeah, so far wrecked ship empty except for this potentially optional flute. And I think that was in the lower part of the ship.
Yeah, that was spooky missiles, so that would be something you could just grab on the way in and then do the boss and leave. At least
Definitely.
so far. We got 3 more items still to look at. He did not scout the reserve yet.
Yeah, I have to really pay attention to whether there's anything up here, because this is one of those areas that, Osse included, runners may like to skip. Osse choosing to do it today, but we'll see if Duck does the same when he gets to Wreck Ship. Osse does have that second power bomb pack that Duck does not yet have. Was that in Wreck Ship, or did that come from somewhere else? I'm trying to remember.
That was one of the super, either right or left supers.
Okay.
I don't recall which one, but that was in Wreck Ship somewhere. Yeah, you got the super pack and a power bomb pack here. The Duck doesn't have in Wreck Ship, so like the ammo's nice, but really not game changing to the point that it's worth doing that clear for.
Yeah, so upper Wreck Ship not really pan out. All the goods in lower Wreck Ship today. This spin jumping chair is really something.
Yeah, with 2 power bomb packs though, I guess no, Osse hasn't done this. I was thinking for some reason we saw it twice on Duck's side, so we have not seen him do the red tower checks.
And this is reasonable. As Osse, you could go back to the ship and do Bryn Loop with those 10 power bombs, but knowing there's no required boss credit in there, delaying makes a lot of sense too.
Oh, for sure. Especially coming out of Wreck Ship, it's more backtracking than just a reset, which at some point there's going to be ways in most scenarios to route in a reset. So he's probably thinking, at some point I'll reset back to the ship, do the Bryn Loop, or maybe just skip the whole thing and get lucky and I won't have to do it. But these red tower checks are quick. And he's already got his sword from it.
Yeah, nothing on the mountain. So it looks like, okay, Duck is going to save and quit here. I wouldn't have been surprised if that was a cue to just turn around and kind of go back right into Meridia, but Duck is going to do a little bit more Link to the Past while he's here.
Yeah, he's maybe thinking Sahasrara, or might even dip the front of Eastern Palace. It's a pendant, so he won't have to come back. If he's able to get all the items and just skip the boss and gets anything good in there, that could be really valuable. Single
bomb stun prize is nice.
That is very nice.
You get to double up turning in your green pendant from Kraid with Sash Closet, and that's kind of nice. I don't think you're going to end up in Eastern here, but I don't mind being aggressive about getting this green pendant turn in.
I think there's clearly 2 different mindsets to have. There's the mindset of, I'm playing against Osse, and he's notoriously extremely good at this game, and I need to cut things out to beat him. Or the mindset of, I'm playing against Osse, and because he's so good, I need to do something that he probably won't do and spike something good. I think generally the former works out better, but it really depends on where you are in the race, how you're playing, how the decisions you've made have been paying off. All that factors in, of course.
Yeah, it's always really hard to balance those things in these 1v1s. Osse going for the 3-tile jump morph there with high jump boots. Doesn't quite get it, but the fact that he even bothers to go for that there with sufficient power bombs that he didn't have to is something. Nice boost off the waiver, and he's going to, unless something goes real wrong, make it out of X-ray cleanly here. It looks like Duck is taking this gravity suit, well, he's taking his gravity suit back across mode. He's going across mode. Maybe still thinking about that earlier trip in. We'll save a little bit of time on Osse, potentially a lot of time if he decides to skip the upper ship, but have to see what sort of choice he makes. Oh, he's making the choice to grab the Cane of Burna, scout this item, and okay, now he's going in.
Yep, and Osse grabbing his gravity suit.
Yep, getting reupholstered in a lovely purple on the base. I guess that's not really upholstery, but still keeping the red. And looks like he might be heading up into Meridia with that knowledge that there's green pendant Kraid. I like getting into Meridia early here in Osse's situation.
Yeah, same here. I think it makes a lot of sense because you're not going to be able to beat Botchwoon or get through Botchwoon, get to Botchwoon, sorry, with the items that he has. No Crystal Flash, no Speed Booster, no Ice Beam. So you're going to go in and you just route through the sand pits and you leave. And you don't lose too much time on movement doing that, not doing the entire area. Just a few things like Everest become a little bit slower having to gravity jump that.
Does wake up the Totori and leaves. Reasonable opening Doppler there for Duck on Fantoon. Looks like we got a left slow here, unless Rare left mid. Nope. And Osse is doing some gravity chair jumps here.
Ooh, and Duck just missing the super. Almost got the 2 round here, but not quite.
And unfortunately, the punish right slow. And so far, this Meridia is not turning up anything. I'm actually kind of surprised. But we still have Aqueduct. We've still got the sand pits. So there's another 6 items still.
Yeah, I'm surprised as well, especially with how empty most of what's been checked thus far has been.
Yeah, we do have sufficient E-tanks for that Bubble Mountain Hell run. So that is in logic. With the high jump boots and 5 total tanks, or 6 total tanks, or whatever it is. 5 puts in logic.
That's a very good point. Definitely more of a Varia randomizer thing than SMZ3, where you get gravity suit and it means do hell runs. Is that our first bottle we've got here?
It's our second bottle. There was a bottle in Smoldorm Cave.
That's right. Okay, we haven't seen the check, but we have seen a bottle. That is still something on the table for both runners.
And Osse taking the save here because he doesn't want to die and lose that bottle. No, so he can save scum the sand pits. And we'll see if he tries to do some sort of dumb Crystal Flash shenanigans. I wouldn't put it past him. He has a couple power bombs to give now.
Are you saying for Botchwoon?
Yeah, for clipping to Botchwoon, but there's some flippers, so we're probably keeping that.
And an Ice Beam. And wow. He's going to check the other sand pit first, and then grab those and loop back around, I think. I would maybe just grab those and loop around right now to avoid the third.
No. I'm 100% checking the left sand pit and trying to reset it. But Duck did leave wrecked ships, so he is going to save a little bit of time here. and
I
is
guess he
taking
doesn't worry about
those
that.
power bombs and starting out on his Bryn loop. We also, had those 30-ish items in Bryn loop that we haven't seen.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Those are not important though.
Yeah.
I actually was going to mention the Crystal Flash wasn't really viable because of ammo. It would use all of his supers and missiles, and then you wouldn't have ammo left for Batu. So that probably. Oh, okay.
Oh.
Well, now you got to do both sand pits.
Yeah. Osse is about as happy as anyone would be seeing this.
He actually looks a little bit unhappy.
Yeah, I'd be pretty unhappy about that. Gonna get the nice triple dip sandpit, nice how and easy shuffle there. And Duck finding a lamp here at the front of Gauntlet.
Interesting. I think, yeah, just because of the way it worked out, I think going around and then checking the other one would have ended up better. But if he was planning on just leaving and not going to Batuun right now, maybe you just check both sand pits. You get everything in the front of Meridia cleared. No, it's nothing. Come back later for the back half of the basically dungeon. That would make sense to do what you were suggesting and what Osse did, which is the reset. Nice glove in Gauntlet as well.
Yeah. It's tough though. Like I think you go around and you get the flippers here. Like boots and flippers are both pretty reasonable.
In this case, you have to. I was just saying, like there was the option of not resetting the flippers and the ice beam away the first time and just doing that extra loop, going through Batuun, checking the other sand pit afterwards.
Yeah, although now with ice beam, you could go up, go to back of Meridia, and then just leave through the back with those flippers and Moon Pearl. Or Osse doesn't have the Moon Pearl yet.
He does not.
He did not go into high jump boots, so he can't go to Dark World directly from this.
Yeah, so
that makes it a little
certainly
less
going to just take the ice beam and flippers and leave. He's gonna go down to high jump area, probably rescue the old man, do the early ice beam check.
Yeah, that feels really bad. Finding ice beam in a sand pit and then finding your Moon Pearl like right after an area that was available early.
And Duck's finding lots of some of it's good stuff. A lot of things here in early Brinstar, getting a sword and mushroom. At least one of those is very good. One of them might be.
Yeah, I'm a little more excited about one of those than the other. Duck is going to farm some extra B-toms here. Get his power bombs nice and full. But yeah, sword and a glove so far for Bryn Loop. Not bad. Plus the lamp in front of Gauntlet, kind of ostensibly part of that same sequence. Yeah, I think Osse, as you're pointing something out in chat, probably going to just leave here. And I think it makes a lot of sense because with those flippers, like provided that your Dark World access shows up anywhere, you're going to be able to just pop back into Meridia, kill Dragon at some point, and then leave Cape for Duck and Edicoons.
For sure. And even if he did want to go back, he'd have to farm up his supers and then not or barely miss on Batuun, and then farm up again for Dragon, and it just does not make for fun, quick fights. He's going for Kraid though. Osse's going to take Kraid on, even knowing it's the green pendant. So quick enough checks, that makes sense.
A safe call.
Yeah, definitely a good defensive play.
It's kind of nice that Osse has sequenced this pretty late, other than, Bryn Loop, which is still looming. I almost would have wanted to, see go down, like do high jump boots, take the mountain portal, reset the ship, do Bryn Loop, and then have the option to pop up to Kraid. Just with it, just to put the choice of whether to do these 4 items later in sequence, but it's definitely faster to do it this way. Osse does get his Kraid quick kill. And nothing too much in Big Pink, although Bryn Loop paying off already pretty good for Duck. If he doesn't get anything else substantial here in this Bryn Loop, I think you still are just counting it as a win.
Yeah, there's a lot of E-tanks. Might be worth 2. I mean, not required, obviously, but Duck is looking really good for these hell runs coming up.
It does want some more
they
supers.
do seem like they're coming up, I guess. They might not necessarily be needed, but it's appearing that way. We're running low on things to get that last piece of the Dark World puzzle. Actually, no, we're not. We have a Master Sword and a lamp and a cape. So that is Dark World right there. At least some of it through Aga.
Or we just have gravity and ice beam and flippers.
That too.
Like I don't want to go. I would much rather go back through Meridia for Dark World than go through Castle Tower.
Is there actually, this is something I don't know, if there's an amount of ammo that's required for Botwoon to be in Logic? Like a certain number of supers or charge beam? Because obviously it's doable, but we have seen very little ammo. These runners haven't skipped very much. They have done a little bit different things, but they haven't skipped, I don't think, any super packs, and they've only skipped a couple missile packs, maybe each.
I think that because you're guaranteed a missile and a super in Sphere 1, that there probably isn't anything written into the logic, and someday there will be that seed. But I don't actually know that it's not written. But it would be pretty funny, the not 2 missile packs available so that you can kill Botwoon seed that is unbeatable. Osse is going to leverage those boots immediately. So boots and flippers, the real advantage from Meridia now. Getting back into Link to the Past and starting to take advantage of those.
Yeah. And Duck has been showing off here. The reason why doing Red Tower first and then the full Bryn Loop can be bad because it uses so many power bombs. He has to farm up to be able to go through Blue Bryn. Sometimes going through Green Bryn, you can get through it with 5 and then deal with Red Tower and farm on your way, and then you go back through Blue Bryn later. Can be a way to deal with a low power bomb seed.
Yeah.
Ideally, you just find them and it works out way better the way that he's routed it.
Yeah, it did have to farm some zeros down in Waterway, but really, really nice clip to save that the extra power bomb out of charge. Getting that without X-ray, and obviously it's blind. Pretty niche strat and not simple to do. So, cool trick Duck was showing off there. And does find an extra super pack down here, up to 2015-10. It's pretty nice. And Osse is going to start with some of these boots checks. Getting bonk rocks out of the way.
Bonk rocks, and probably over to Lumberjack as well, since neither runner has checked that yet.
Yeah. I mean, he's still a little ways away from it, but there's not going to really be a better time to get the intel about what's up here. And yeah, nothing else really showing up out of this Bryn Loop unless there's something at Waterway or Climb Supers or in the last couple checks here. Duck does have the power bomb that he'll need to do Old Mother Brain and also to be able to do 230, so should be able to clean things up pretty nicely.
Yeah, that was the sword on Lumberjack. That's really interesting, actually, here, since that effectively just takes one out of the pool that we're not gonna get.
Yeah, since we already know Master Sword's available, it would be very strange to see either runner get that sword today.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for Osse it'd be if somehow he never does Bryn Loop and needs a sword. He knows where one is. But for Duck already being on Master Sword, that is almost... There's just no chance of that happening. I guess the best and only scenario I'd see that is if he was going to, say, Bumper Ledge with a mirror and late in the game, still only on Master Sword, and just wants the extra firepower for some of the late game bosses to speed him up. But still seems pretty unlikely. And that'd be if Aggo was required. Like,
it would be
a lot of ifs.
Very weird, yeah. Given that we have Logical Dark World through Meridia, I'm struggling to see this Aggo play happen.
Duck showing off another new feature. Well, I guess he's about to show off the new feature that if you grab this item with the new settings, Bomb Chorizo wakes up. It's not about whether you have bombs or not, it's about whether you want the item. So he was hedging his bets, trying to decide if he really wanted that super. Is it worth going through this fight? And then decides it is worth it, which I think makes a lot of sense. Still no charge beam, no guarantee the charge beam shows up, so you'll probably end the game with a lot of supers, but you might need a lot of supers with no charge.
Yeah, and I think Duck made ultimately the right call there. Keeping those supers. It's a pretty quick fight. But given that you already have Plasma Beam, I can definitely see just being like, I'd rather just find charge. But those supers even could be useful for Crystal Flashes and things like that with Various still outstanding. So I like the call from Duck.
Yeah, Crystal Flashes, or like even if Charge Beam shows up before Mother Brain, if it doesn't show up before Ridley, having extra supers could be nice for that fight. Either just to make it completable or just to make it so you don't have to farm before the fight, because you just have more going into Lower Norfair.
Yeah, and we see each runner sort of leveraging the things that they got out of their Super Metroid choices in A Link to the Past, trying to push those things. Osse finding a third bottle here at the Hobo. Duck getting a small key in the back of Escape, so going to continue that playthrough of Dark Cross, but using the glove that he got from Bryn Loop. So his glove and his lamp here. Lamp, part of the logical access here. No advanced fire rod logic for these dark rooms in SMZ3. Not necessarily something either of these runners is going to require, but does make it a little faster to get through. And Osse's gonna take the text box here to get some green goo, and Various suit for Duck and Dark Cross. That's actually a really big find. I expect the mountain saving quit here from Duck.
Yeah, there's no way he doesn't push that immediately.
Yeah, I mean, you went to Bryn Loop, you got glove and lamp, you immediately went to Dark Cross with a key from the back of Escape, and got Various suit, like, straight to Bubble Mountain.
Yeah, and honestly, depending on ammo, Duck probably does Lower Norfair right after Upper Norfair. If he gets like another super pack, basically, or a charge beam, that makes Lower Norfair pretty comfy. Ridley's very doable. Yeah. Gives you it's a lot of items, and it's fairly on path.
Plasma helps a lot
when we know all three pendants, so it's definitely required, whether it's for a crystal or for a SM token.
Yeah, we don't know the Dark World map yet, but we could end up in Mire area if it's Quake. And Duck had a webcam, we might see some choice expressions, but we would need a lot to really want to do a Mire dive here, especially because we know that hook shot's outstanding. But Osse does have the boots to get in.
Speaking of Osse, he's also going to get some of this parity of the advantages the Duck's been grabbing with the gloves, while Duck grabs more gloves. It's set up for Norfair, okay.
Has all the gloves now.
They are not about to be on the same level of gloves. I retract my previous statement.
speaking those mitts into existence there in Norfair Reserve. You know, with the flute and mitts, I think maybe you just go straight through the front of Lower Norfair and then leave the back for later. Osse does get his first glove.
I think you just maybe don't go to Lower Norfair at all. Just go to Croc instead.
Well, you don't have
Dark World. It depends on what else we find here for sure.
You don't have a good way out of Screw Attack yet, and I think Duck is assessing that. You know, the Seed's given it items at a pretty good clip. Might want to start taking some of these things that you'd rather have by the time you're doing late game content.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, it feels a little bit bad to do the lava dive, even if it's, you know, a gravity jump and it's not too hard and you have AD tanks. It feels a little bit bad to do that for just, you know, 4 checks is what that effectively is for Duck, or 5 checks, Screw Attack, GT, and then...
Well, no. If you dive, you're going through Lower Norfair and killing Ridley.
Oh, you're saying the opposite. Okay.
Right, and then you're going to flute back into Mire area.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying the opposite, and that didn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, I would absolutely never suggest that play because I don't think it's very good.
It seemed really silly.
I hope that Duck does not choose to do that.
But it seemed really wrong.
Yeah, so don't lava dive to just go check GT here when you have mitts and flute.
Okay, yeah, don't do that. Duck should not do that.
Yeah, that would
hopefully won't.
Not the play we would suggest.
He's not. He's going back through the speedless Frog Speedway instead. Gonna just activate the flute and maybe go Dark World with the mitts. Maybe go to the GT area, but the faster way.
Activate flute. And then probably take the portal in Kakariko and see what the game's giving you. But he's not going to have his boots for quite a while. Because the flippers are in Meridia, so he's not going to go into Meridia backdoor. So
it's not anytime soon.
Yeah, this is a pretty good boots advantage for Osse. That said, maybe not required, but like every little bit of time he's spending in A Link to the Past, which he's not doing right now because of Bryn Loop, he will be sort of differentially gaining on Duck.
Oh, for sure. And the other thing that's even worse for Duck with those boots is that the flippers are hard required. And the flippers lock the hook shot, which is the other way around the boots to get into Misery Mire, which we know is needed. So he's got to go to a sand pit, and if he goes to the right sand pit and grabs the flippers, he might think, okay, well, this is so important, I don't need to check the other sand pit. You know, it gives more reason for Duck to potentially miss those even later.
Yeah, the sand pit items, Ice Beam, flippers, and Pegasus boots are all kind of big advantages for Osse here. Like, they add up. But just because Duck has those mitts Moon Pearl, like, he's going to be doing Dark World stuff. And I just don't know, if you didn't push Gravity Suit early, how long is it going to take you to get back and really go through the front of Meridia to do that?
Yeah, I don't know that. And that's the weird thing is that, so Duck got Gravity so early on. He got it way before Osse did, but it didn't really seem like an advantage because it's so on path at Spazer that at least I kind of figured Osse's going to get there sooner or later. It's not a big advantage unless he gets something with it and keeps pushing down that chain. And he went a different way and got items that path instead. So really interesting how that shaped up so far.
Yeah. I mean, like, think about what this looks like. Is you want flippers to backdoor Meridia. You want Ice Beam to incentivize going through Meridia to get to Botwoon. So, like, unless Duck finds speed somewhere over here, like, unless there's, like, speed booster in Hype Cave, like, the 3 items in Meridia, as inconvenient as they looked at the time, like, I think that's going to end up being really big. And Osse got Mission Impossible as a chair, and is continuing his chair checks here.
And you can tell Duck wants those boots. Obviously, the hammer is the other thing, but I would suspect that the boots are a big reason he's not going into Thieves Town at this point, even though it's required.
No boots, no mirror, no hammer. Like, no, you know the hook shot's out there.
Or maybe he's going to Thieves Town.
I think he's grabbing the smith and then going to continue through to Hype Cave here, save and quit, and then potentially do Thieves Town on the return trip.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like that.
If you get hammer in Hype Cave, it feels really, really good, as opposed to doing Thieves and then finding hammer in Hype Cave, and then it feels awful.
That's a very good point.
See, I actually like this this Dark World route from Duck. I might have still done the beginning of Thieves because, you know, doesn't have a fairy in a bottle. All the bottles come empty in SMZ3. It's kind of a nice feature. You don't have to try and remember what's in your bottles when you pick them up. It's sort of a quality of life thing that we get for SMZ3. And only 7 hearts green mail. It's pretty easy to death warp out. But we'll see what Hype Cave has today. Not a hammer. So we're going to turn the smith in. Osse's going to finish his Bryn Loop cleanup here.
Best thing is the supers, but really not that big of a deal at all.
Yeah, some supers, some missiles. It's going to make the Ridley fight nicer if he decides to go that way. And with Varia being like the last good thing other than Mitts. I mean, right now he's pushing the deepest sphere he has, which is Mitts access stuff. Which philosophically I like, but there is a lot of density in that lower Norfair play. Or not density, but just it's so linear that you don't lose a lot of time by doing it now versus doing it later.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's interesting a little bit sometimes the different items that help speed up different areas. Like in Lower Norfair, Speed Booster helps, but doesn't really help that much. Like Fast Pillars is the biggest example.
Yeah, or Wasteland for powerbomb management.
Yeah,
but
the Speedball there is nice and saves.
Or if you don't have high jump boots, it really helps make Amphitheater impossible. So you can just die.
Oh yeah, yeah. But the high jump boots alone, they make a huge impact in Lower Norfair, whereas Meridia is kind of the opposite, where high jump is great, but you really want like speed booster or space jump to get through the water faster. Big open rooms.
Where is Duck going right now?
Maybe scouting bumper.
Scouting bumper. Is he going to play into front of Skull?
I think if you do that, you just do Skull first. This doesn't really like feed into Skull very well because there's some backtracking here.
Yeah,
maybe
he's headed to Kern Jump.
Fake flipper into the back of Meridia. That's certainly an option.
This has to be a Kern Jump here. So yeah, you could do that splash delete on the screen transition so that you could then take the Catfish portal down to back of Meridia. It would work out.
Yeah, he's getting out bombed, so it has to be the Kern Jump. I
guess I should call it the duck jump. Sorry, he's going to duck jump here.
Is there a difference? I'm familiar with that one.
They're ostensibly the same thing.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I like this from Duck. Like he's.
Yeah. I actually kind of dig it. I think this is a very reasonable play, and it gets him back to leverage that gravity suit if he's worried about having left something. So we saw him almost get screwed by the flying cupcake bombers there.
That's the risk.
Well, no, he used a really nice setup there where if you're swimming to the right into the portal, your portal iframes will last long enough to get you to the ladder, and it was a lot less unsafe than it looked.
You say that, but if your swim isn't good and you kind of rub up against either of those either of those walls, then your iframes definitely run out, and it's a bad time.
Yeah, if you use that setup and you do not mess it up, it is safe. That said, there's always ways to mess things up in this game.
For sure. So you like this play. So how do you think this is leveraging like what Duck's found so far, where he thinks Osse is?
Well, you know that you left Gravity Suit. You need to get the boss done at some point. And this gives you an option to just get something done that has to get done at some point anyway. And it can help kind of block against some very bad punishes you could have taken. Now, ultimately, we know it's a double sandpit mess. So we'll see what he chooses to do. But I think the current jump, like, it's a pretty quick set of checks to get in. Like, it's not actually that slow to come over here since you have to fight Dragon at some point anyway.
True, yeah. Just the time investment is the walking around the overworld of Link to the Past for a little bit to get here. And honestly, it definitely is going to work out well for him. If depending on how he does the sandpits, it could be really great because he could do one sandpit and then check all the stuff in the front of Meridia on his way back to the other sandpit and pick them both up really easily.
Yeah, I think you're just viewing this as having like the slight additional upside of like, you know, not having to gravity jump as you climb Meridia. Like, you're doing Meridia as a descent, which tends to be a little bit faster. Since you're starting at the top and playing it back to the front. Now, I didn't see, was the small key on the torch here in Desert?
I missed that as well.
Yeah, the big key's on the right side.
I believe it was. I feel like I remember hearing and seeing Osse bonk the torch, but not what was on it. Wasn't the map.
Okay, so hydropower saving us from our inability to watch two screens at the same time. And telling us the center chest was a missile pack. So yeah, the torch had to be the small key. Boots had to be required for this. And it is a Super Metroid boss credit. I think it was the Kraid boss. So those boots are going to be hard required. And Duck is going to continue this play back to the front rather than going back out and sort of fake flippering back out over to the pot area or something, which I wouldn't be a huge fan of that play. I could kind of, get it, but with having left Meridia early, I'm glad to see Duck playing a few more items in this area.
Yeah, that would feel a little too wishy-washy, I think, for me. I like if you go in, you're investing a lot of time in both the fake flippers altogether to just check a few items if you're not really digging in and trying to make the most out of the efficiency with those.
Yeah, it's more of the philosophy of like just always be doing things to guarantee progressing the game, which is just go kill the required bosses and just pray that the game gives you the required things on the way there. There's a lot of required things that are still outstanding that I think that would be a bad philosophy to be following here for Duck. But like, you definitely will see players do that where like if they have a beatable boss, they're going to go do that thing, and if there's a crystal anywhere on the map or a boss credit that's anywhere that they can do next, like they're just going to do that over doing sort of a dead region.
Yeah, for sure. The only downside with that is when you have potentially just things that could be made faster later, like a slow boss fight. And Duck actually had a really impressive ammo-only Dragon.
Good ammo
with a pretty nice Master Sword-only Landmo, which is also not a great fight. Kind of used to doing it with a little bit more.
Duck choosing to not do the Hoenn-Dizzy shuffle. I'm gonna sanction that one. That's not a good choice.
I'm shaking my head.
Yeah. disappointing, but does get his Pegasus boots. And now the problem is we'll see if he continues around for those flippers, or if he just says, you know, that's good enough for me. And I think this is a good enough for me play.
Oh, so what do the flippers give him? He doesn't have. He's got like the Zora area and no fire rod. No, he does have bombos. No hammer though for Ice Palace. No hook shot for Swamp. No hammer for Swamp. Like,
yeah. Oh,
he gives him a lot of really bad checks.
Yeah, he is going back up. It looks like. Oh, he's gonna save. This is actually really a great call by Duck. I like this a lot. So now he can do the front back up to the sand pit. He is going to not be able to benefit from this save, but this is a really nice call. It's not going to net an advantage, but like it's a great play. Yeah,
and meanwhile, Osse is making a lot of great plays as well, doing kind of the similar routing as what Duck did with the gloves into the backup escape, into getting the various suit, now into Upper Norfair, gonna hit his mitts as well. So
yeah, and this will give him proper Dark World access. He has those Pegasus boots, has done Desert. Duck, depending on if he finds Mirror first, may end up having a slightly faster access to Desert from my area. I think we may see Duck put off Desert for a while, and Desert didn't really have anything good, so I don't think there's going to be a punish associated with that. But, yeah, I mean, both players kind of cleaning up things that we've already seen. So, really good time to remind folks, since you already know what's going to be happening, click away, click to the runner streams, go give them a follow if you haven't already. Obviously, they're really good at this game. They're in the finals of this tournament for a reason. And the game's sweet while you're watching it. So show them some love and give them those follows. Duck is going for his jump here through Everest. Can be a little bit of a tricky wall jump. Needs to be slightly delayed, and there he gets it. Use a slightly different approach to it than what we saw from Osse. Yeah, both these dudes are great streamers. And, you know, Osse, lots of Super Metroid, lots of A Link to the Past, randomizers, and vanilla stuff. SMZ3, obviously. Duck, mostly SMZ3, and Michael Jordan Chaos in the Windy City, which is also excellent.
Yeah, no love for Captain Novolin.
Now, you know, I also was thinking about mentioning his Captain Novolin world record, but I figured I would let the viewers discover that one on their own.
Yeah, sorry everybody for spoiling that. But
spoilers, also Captain Novolin content.
But somehow still doesn't.
So Duck did leave his flippers.
Bad. Okay.
This is a.
I like looked away and saw him at a save and was confused. He reset from up at the watering hole area. That's really bad for Duck that he made that save in retrospect.
Yeah, he used it in a way that we hoped he would not. Those flippers are not on his radar anytime soon. The way this breaks positively for Duck is nothing is in Swamp Palace or maybe also Ice Palace, and he's able to go mode them after getting go mode flippers. Because otherwise, I don't think that this is going to work out.
Yeah, either that, or I guess maybe if there's something on Plasma or Shack Tool that both have to go back for, because that's all that Osse's left behind in Meridia, so he's unlikely to go back for those things at any. Well, I guess he hasn't.
Osse has back in Meridia as well, so I think you can do Plasma Shack pretty reasonably with the Dragon kill.
That's a good point. I guess that's the other bailout for Duck, is if Osse doesn't do those checks with Dragon, and Duck's able to route all 4 of those in together, 2 in the sand pit, Shack Tool, and plasma and get something there as well to make up for the delayed flippers.
Yeah, that is definitely an out of having those other two bad locations sort of strapped to the bad sand pit. That said, I mean, you've got a pretty great loadout. So unless like Hammer is at Plasma or something, like I feel like this ends up being pretty late to the sand pit.
Yeah, I agree. Meanwhile, we have Osse making the lava dive play here, which will be new checks for us.
Interesting that Duck is not putting off Desert here at all. I kind of would have expected him to put it off with Mitts and Flute to see if you could find the mirror, like while doing Lower Norfair or something. But it looks like Osse is going to make that Lower Norfair play first.
He just really doesn't have a lot of good things to do, because Lower Norfair, as fast as it is, he's got to go the long way to get there. And that feels bad because he already did the Bubble Mountain area, and he'd have to go back through Cathedral again.
Yeah, that's true.
Just to get there, and he doesn't have any more movement or better items than when he had the first opportunity to do it, so you could see that being something he doesn't want to do. Yeah, unfortunately, the desert's going to be not a way for him to save time over Osse, clearing it basically exactly the same way with exactly the same equipment. It is required at least, so it's not a total time sink. It's not wasted.
Just going to be a wash with any delta based on relative execution. I don't know how you can play as a desk chair. I'm so bad at non-vanilla sprites that watching Osse do this, and okay, at least I'm not rooting for lack of success here from Osse, but like it's good to see a strat that I know he's comfortable with get in some way screwed up by presumably this sprite, because he's got enough reps at that worst room in the game type of loadout that otherwise I don't think he messes that up.
Opt to skip the Mickey Mouse missiles, which I know a lot of players do. Falling down there is extremely punishing, but if you skip it, you're not likely to find it ever. So
with high jump boots, that's a weird skip. Like if you have sufficient power bombs and high jump boots, I don't think that you generally want to skip that, because it's not that slow of a check either.
It's not, but you still have to power bomb out all the shot blocks or bomb blocks rather, and then get the jump off the crumbles.
Yeah,
it'd be scary.
Oh, for sure. I feel like that is one of those things that, like, if I'm watching this as, as we are, I'm viewing that as like a potential way of letting Duck, quote unquote, back into this. Like, it's one extra out that Duck has, given the sort of bad situation with the flippers and Ice Beam. More so the flippers.
Osse smartly aware of the fact he's going to have to use all those supers on Ridley, choosing to use just the Wave Ice Plasma Beam on the Metal Pirates.
Yeah, only the best non-charged beam available.
It's still a little bit tedious. Yeah. It's still several
it's 6 shots.
And you can't do it all in one attack like you can with Charge Beam or with Super Missiles. We'll see if he farms up to full or decides to go a little early. Can use 6 missiles to supplement every super he's missing. Even turning off Ice Beam for this farm, so that makes a lot of sense. He's going to farm up to full, probably.
Yeah, has he already opened the Ghidorah?
Yes, he did.
Okay, then he's going to get to full. Probably have a 30 missile, 25 super fight coming up for Ridley. Might decide to open with a power bomb. Actually, plenty of extra ammo here, has a lot of leeway. but just having full supers is so important here just for the amount of time it saves.
Oh yeah.
And Duck also having a pretty reasonable Master Sword land molus.
Yeah, I think Duck's was a little bit faster than Osse's. It's a tough fight because slashes don't do very much damage at all, so you really want to get the spins, but sometimes it just doesn't work out, and peppering in slashes between can be better than nothing if you can't get a full spin. That was an insane Ridley fight.
Yeah, really good. I think the slashes are fighter sword class against land molas, whereas the spins, of course, are tempered class.
That's weirdly true against pretty much all the light world bosses.
Yeah. A Link to the Past damage tables are super weird. Osse finding Ether Medallion behind Ridley.
Because it is just that. It's a table full of arbitrary numbers that mostly follow a format, but not quite.
Yeah,
it's all medallions for Osse.
I have no idea why the A Link to the Past devs really hated people having Master Sword for their light world bosses so much that they like willfully made Master Sword actively bad against all of them. But like, they really had it out for people with Master Sword early.
I suspect it was a way to try to force people to get a better sword for Ganon's Tower since you do the refights, but that's just my hypothesis.
See, now you're ascribing actual legitimate reason to this, and that is a completely rational thing to have done. I like to think it was just spite. And Duck
equally
is
likely
into Thieves Town finally. No hammer still.
Yeah, these are new checks.
Yeah, Duck
and
did get those Pegasus boots.
He's got them.
He has them. And there's these nice long straightaways in Thieves Town where you could use them.
There we go. He's remembered. Yeah. All right.
Okay, it's a great time to remind you that I lost to apathyduck a couple days ago, and I'm feeling real great about that right now.
Well, he's got a knack for finding gravity early. He found it early in this seed too, earlier than Osse. It does get a sword here though. That's going to be pretty nice. Not as much for this dungeon, but just in general moving forward. If he is able to do any other dungeons with a sword advantage, like say Ice Palace or Turtle Rock, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, tempered, really nice. Obviously a great find, especially with that being the fourth sword with the known. Now, Duck doesn't know about the Lumberjack sword yet, but
he
does he?
Does
I don't think he does.
Rocks. I think he did Bonk Rocks into Lumberjack. I know Osse did. I think Duck did as well.
Oh, Duck did look at Lumberjack. Okay, sorry, I thought that Duck did not do that. Okay, my apologies to Duck. I will continue razzing you only for the things you do, not for the things that I say you didn't do but actually did. Either way, tempered's going to be a nice find.
Yeah. For both runners, they won't be getting the gold sword. Osse will for sure get that tempered sword at some point. There's no way he skips that. It's just a matter of potentially not having it as early for some of the other Dark World bosses. We saw a mail upgrade too here in Lower Norfair Escape. Not really anything else of value. We got the medallion behind Ridley and a mail upgrade that was too far out of the way to get at the PBs in jail.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised that this Lower Norfair was this dead. And I'm like going right back to thinking about that Mickey Mouse skip. Just because the seeds seem to really be kind of screaming about just going to Lower Norfair. And I think Osse's headed for Croc.
Yeah, I mean, there's still the other 3 checks in the front of Lower Norfair.
And Duck will have Screw Attack for his Lower Norfair, so...
I'll help a little bit.
That... I mean, I would say it's a time save. It's not a major time save with Plasma Beam already, but you're definitely not sad to have it.
Oh, for sure. So if you're Osse, where do you go here? He's not doing Crocomire, which is what I was kind of thinking after hitting a lot of nothing in LN. Maybe hit that as a fairly dense section. I guess the pantry's not available, and feels bad to leave that one behind. So
Meyer area and CWJ out into. I thought he was fluting the 6. I was like, are we doing Meyer area and the GT check, and then CWJ to go do Mickey Mouse and reset?
I think not, especially he used all of his supers, so he'd have to farm up supers to do and kill GT. Going into scout the item and reset might not be bad, but I don't know.
I do kind of want to use the flute and mitts to get into Meyer area.
Yeah, I mean, Meyer Shed is like really fast. Although Osse doesn't have any advantage from knowing the Meyer medallion, since he has all 3 now, that's not like info that is useful at this juncture. So maybe that's more reason to go there that he doesn't really have. Finally see the Dark World map check. So SM bosses at Pod and Ice Palace, and the other red crystal is Swamp. I don't know what the first red crystal was.
The first one was Fantoon.
Fantoon, that's right. Okay, I was like, it's an SM boss. Which one is it?
Yeah, it was Fantoon, because Osse got it pretty early on.
Okay.
And Morph Bombs as a can fly here for Duck. That's actually kind of a big game for Purple Chest here. He's going right to... Wow. I like it.
I do too. So he's going to have the advantage of... He probably still going to skip... Well, I would imagine he still skips GT just because it's going to use all of his supers and he doesn't have a great way to farm up other than just plasma on the bugs before Ridley.
Yeah, I think you just flute back over.
Just to flute later, yeah. I think so too.
I think what I do is I take the portal here, I see what my ammo is, and I decide if I'm doing Lower Norfa right now or if I'm doing the GT Scout, and then resetting to ship to get my ammo refill. And with only 13 supers and no grapple and 40 max, I think I do the GT Scout here first.
I think so too.
And then plan on fluting back.
That's a really good idea. Well, now it's 18 supers.
Yeah, I think I grabbed those again, but yeah, you definitely grab them here. See what we find here, and then I'm planning to reset to ship.
He's just going to fight. Okay.
This is... Huh.
I think 18's enough that you can pretty much...
18 is not enough.
I mean, it's not enough, but it's enough that you can farm what you need in between volleys here. There are a few different ways to do it. Duck's doing the no angle, whichever one people unequip. I always forget.
No
angle down.
Angle down, yeah. Good old behemoth strat here. And Osse using those boots in the front of Thieves Town.
If you have your angles, there's definitely easier ways to do this farm, but I like to shoot missiles straight up into the balls. That way I keep my missiles at a low amount, and I can farm the drops at the same time.
I literally just watched Osse open that chest and get the big key and was like waiting for the text box to find out which big key he just found. But it was definitely the big key for Thieves Town.
Did Duck look at the other item here?
He did not. Duck did not check the item behind
it. I'm thinking maybe somehow we missed it, but I don't know how we would have.
Oh, he okay. Hydropower saw it. Okay. I'm assuming Duck had to have seen it.
Okay.
Okay. MST saying piece of heart. We're gonna. I'm gonna believe MST.
I did not see the right. Okay. Well, it must not be important, or he would have grabbed it if he saw it. He does have those bombs to get him through Mickey Mouse much more safely than Osse had with the no bombs. So I can't imagine he'd be skipping that. And the screw attack.
I just have trouble believing that farming the ammo you're going to need for Ridley here from 13 starting supers is faster than just taking the ship refill and fluting back.
I don't think it is either.
I mean, maybe if
I think it's close enough
drops,
that I understand. And if you get another super pack on the way, or if you get charge on the way, there's definitely some bailouts that can happen they can make this risk pay off.
Yeah, if you get grappling beam.
Grapples well, yeah, for sure. And Duck doesn't have to unequip the ice beam for the farm as well that Osse did, since he doesn't have the ice beam.
Oh wow! Space jump is the item that is going to be time advantaged for Duck, but not substantially.
Yeah, it'll save him like seconds over the run here and there. Like this amphitheater is a good one. It'll save him a few seconds.
Yeah, but like it is just that.
When
it's
he goes
like
back
2 to
to
3 seconds. Maybe if Duck does Crocomire on escape and the pantry item is something, that could be pretty big. Depends when Osse goes to get his morph bombs.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that might influence his decision to go to Crocomire from maybe I do it to okay, well now it's going to be fast, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I think you do see Duck do Crocomire here on exit.
He doesn't have a lot left. I mean, he doesn't have the flippers. So he doesn't have really any other good options. We haven't seen the front of Eastern. We haven't seen the front of Pod yet. Those are maybe our next most dense locations.
Yeah, respect to Duck going for the double KO there. But yeah, he does need to find an excuse to get back into Meridia to that sandpit for those flippers. Like, Swamp is a crystal. He is going to need it, and his Ridley farm here is going to suck. There's just no way around this farm being kind of crappy.
Yeah, and even though the Ice Beam, he won't have to turn it off, it would have saved him. So Osse had the Ice Beam for those Metal Pirates, so he was able to do it with fewer shots. Duck ended up using supers instead because
The Hulks gave him a super. Okay, he's getting a lot of supers here from this this farm here.
Yeah, this is a really neat way to do the farm. I haven't ever considered doing this until recently. I saw somebody do it, and it can kind of sort of get 3 of the bugs grouped together, not at like 100% efficiency, but if you do it right, it's more than just 2 at a time. So
yeah,
as long as you keep the rhythm.
Yes, as long as you keep the rhythm. This is, I don't know if it's good or not. it's not good enough that I'm going to call it bad.
Yeah, it was working great for like the first 10 supers he got, and then a little bit hiccup there.
It was going real good. I think he got 3 supers on one cycle, which made it look like the best farm ever. But even he's decided it's not the bee's knees.
Yeah, he's got 30 now, so there's no reason to farm anymore. 40 missiles in case he misses one. So let's see where Osse is going here. I guess he still has Hype Cave. That's right. It was full of garbage, but
so
he hasn't really had a good chance to route it in yet.
I do need to defend Duck just a little bit here against Cypher Signal. So with supers being tier 2 drops, the tier 1 drop odds of health and missiles have no influence over the super drop probabilities. So he is still getting his super drop probabilities as long as he's not putting himself in health bomb range. So the 3 farm is really good there. But that said, he was taking a good bit of damage. But I do have to give him credit where credit's due. And Osse may be going back to Dragon here.
You know what? That space jump, I just realized, is going to help Duck going back to X-Ray again. He does have to go back to get that Quake medallion. So again, it's just a little time save, but it's maybe a consolation.
Does he know that Myers?
He does. He checked Meyer. He checked Meyer from the top side before going into LN here, so he is aware of that. I'm sure he's not happy about it.
Yeah, that's
especially with the death on the way out like that, where you've already done the hardest part. Still not free to get back, but it's not quite as difficult.
This clip strat. He can't do the speedball here because he doesn't have speed booster, but he does what he can.
Osse plenty of supers. He's going to go into a similar ammo kill on Dragon here. Then has the choice to do Plasma and Shacktool. Shacktool not in logic, but can get there with Ice Beam if he chooses to. We don't really have a lot of good options. I don't know what... I don't know what Osse's going to do.
Yeah, I mean... Where did bombs come from? We got them like
the purple chest.
Oh, purple chest.
So that's
I was gonna
not
say we got
Osse's
them
radar.
right before. Yeah.
He hasn't even done the Smith yet, and he's not gonna.
Mit's item checks don't seem that bad. Honestly, like if I'm in the runner's shoes here, I'm starting to get like tilted and like I'm like, where's my East Death Mountain access? And I'm starting to try to think of ways that I can get a fairy and a bottle, but I don't think either of these runners is that dumb. So
they both skipped the bug net, so that's not.
I would have totally grabbed that bug net. I would have been like, I'm bonking into some rocks and getting some fairies. I don't know. I know where my hook shot is. I don't know where my hammer's at. Could be on East Death Mountain.
We know the mirror can't be on East Death Mountain.
It is true. Oh yeah, we still have the pod with... We don't have a bow yet, man.
Pod and Eastern.
We're almost 90 minutes in, and we still need so much stuff.
And we have like 5 dungeons that are all partially clearable, basically. Pod, Eastern, Mire, Swamp, and Ice.
This is gross.
For all at least dippable. And Skullwoods.
Mm-hmm. Because we need the fire rod, we need the ice rod, we need the bow, we need Samaria. What else do we still need? The hammer, obviously. The mirror.
And
the mirror gets us
more ammo or charge beam, but that's not as pressing.
Yeah, that... I mean, we're almost there. Osse, in fact, is there. Osse has enough ammo at this point. It would suck. It's exactly enough ammo. Oh, he'd have to kill the tank. But Osse is at least in ammo go mode.
All right, and Duck is going to Crocomire. This is what I expected from him leaving LN.
Yep.
Especially with the space jump.
Yeah, and Osse is checking plasma. I like the call.
You too. Especially with, it's dwindling for both of them. Both of them have to feel like continuing to make skips or aggressive plays right now is probably not the best idea.
Yeah. At some point you say, okay, well, now I'm down to like 12 locations and I better not isolate one of them.
Yep. Another save scum that doesn't come up as often. I feel like this one doesn't get used as much as it should.
The Croc one?
Yeah, the Croc one. A lot of people save sometimes like after Croc, but I really like the save scum here that Duck does. I've seen him do this before.
I'm taking that save scum like every time, and I almost always keep what's at Croc. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the problem with it is you don't always get to use it that often because you're save scumming so many items, but it's much better than the one underneath Croc, I think.
Yeah, the one underneath Croc I usually use like if I've gotten something in the first couple item locations of Croc. Nothing at Plasma, though, just an arrow capacity upgrade for Osse. And Duck finding a power bomb here is going to grab it.
Really wants it.
Yeah, why not? He doesn't have Ice Beam yet, but does have enough power bombs for Torian, so I don't know. Why do we want a 20th power bomb?
It might save him on a ship refill if he doesn't... Well, he will find ice. Never mind. He might be thinking it'll save him on a ship refill since he doesn't get the ammo refill on the way into Torian, so if he doesn't find power bombs more on the way in chests, it might save him from having to take that extra time. Obviously, he is going to find ice eventually.
It's a pretty low cost to grab it, so
yeah,
if you're even on the fence, may as well.
Anyway. And there's our mirror. Okay.
That's juicy.
Croc, very much required. Osse, he's second guessing himself on where he wants to go right now. Probably going to Catfish here.
Yeah, got to get that out of the way at some
He
point.
could be going down to Pyramid into Pod, but probably Catfish. And have we seen the Zora area yet? Can't mirror to there, but
no, we have not seen
that's another
Zora.
thing. That's another thing on the table that I was
Osse went to
reminded of.
Zora, and
Okay,
I think did the waterfall.
he did do Zora. Yeah.
Duck hasn't though.
Man, maybe Duck's gonna be wishing he had that bug net now to do the fairy revive to get to a water walk to the hook shot. Because he can't water walk.
Yeah.
He can't water walk to it. Well, he can actually. He could just water walk from the
You could just water walk and then
the skull
mirror. Yeah,
that's a way to do it for sure. So yeah, there are ways for him to get it if he really wants to push that and try to find the mirror later, or the flippers later. Don't know if that'll work out for him.
Duck is routing in a way, but he's gonna get out. He's gonna escape Croc. It'll be okay.
And space jump, usually you just space jump up to the pantry on the way out of the grapple. But he did check that early.
Okay, we get a pyramid check. I think this was our first pyramid check. It's just a piece of heart.
I believe that's correct, yeah.
And we'll see if Osse's going to continue over into pod. It looks like he's saying bowless, hammerless, mirrorless pod is the best available thing.
It's a lot of items. I certainly think that makes sense. I think it's the right play for him from what he knows, like what he's got available.
It's the same number of items as Crocomire.
Yeah, but he's already in the Dark World.
Yeah, no, I get it. I don't think it's an unreasonable play.
I think getting to Crocomire is the problem because it's to get to Croc, he's got to go back through Cathedral again, all the way to Bubble Mountain, and then down around, and it just feels bad.
Yeah, and I think Duck is going to use his mirror, his newfound mirror, to get some checks in here from Dark World. But when is Duck going to get his heckin' flippers?
I don't know.
He is going to water walk to get his hook shot, and I think do East Mountain, which I like.
Probably. I don't know.
And maybe that'll give him some pointers about where those flippers have to be. But I don't know what you could find that could point you to a sand pit.
There's nothing left at this point because, grapple is the thing. Because the grapple means there's one more thing logically available in Meridia. And it's going to push him back into Meridia again as a whole entity.
All right, Osse, we gaming? Oh, we're not gaming. It's okay. Osse's gaming.
I think so. And the good news here, well, maybe good news, maybe bad news, is for Osse, he is not bow locked. Not logically, anyway. He is doing bow lock checks momentarily here with that potion that he grabbed. So
okay, yeah, he's gonna set up the potion glitch to unlock the camera here. That makes this a little bit faster most of the time. So I was actually really surprised in the last race that I watched for Osse was he doesn't seem to like doing the bufferless mimic clip, at least in pod. So definitely the potion glitch is faster that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a very unique skill set and done very much differently than the buffered mimic clip. So this is really interesting routing from Duck. I'm not sure.
Did we?
So he armed the water walk, and then he's very intentionally not jumping off any ledges because that disarms it. I don't know what mirroring does to it. I'm assuming that means you can't mirror as well because he's not doing Graveyard Ledge.
I'm not sure why you don't do the Whirlpool over by Skullwoods. Now that Cupcake was being a jerk.
Exactly. That's the confusion. I thought he was going to route in graveyard, or sorry, I keep saying graveyard, K45 with this.
Wow,
But
nice bush
he
fairy.
did not. He does have his hookshot now, both mirror and hookshot, which is interesting. Osse still needs both of those items.
Yeah, the whirlpool is definitely much faster. Nice stair climb there for Duck.
Okay.
Gets out of it fast enough that he doesn't lose the frames from the spin.
This could be actually really good for Duck. I'm trying to think about how this advantages him or could hurt him. If he finds the hammer here on Death Mountain, I don't know, because if he finds the hammer on East Death Mountain, he knows flippers are not behind it.
Yes.
He knows they cannot be here.
100%.
So that's really, really good if that happens for him. It's going to narrow down where he's got to search for those. Or really anything, that's just one example. Depending on where hammer is, anything else on East Death Mountain could also still be behind the flippers.
Yeah, if you don't find hammer over here, I don't think you get that much information.
Yeah, or something that leads to hammer somewhere down the road is the other side of that. Meanwhile, Osse finding nothing is... I don't know if that was an intentional bonk from Duck to set up like a door exit or something. There's a way, you can definitely set up a few different ways to get through that door with continuing your dash and not like stopping early or bonking.
He went for it and then just like had a right input out of his diagonal.
Okay. I guess I always diagonal the other way, so I didn't know why he turned right and bonked.
Yeah, he was going for the down right diagonal, which is the fastest way to do it.
That makes sense. I don't know why I always do down left.
Because you like extra door transition frames? I don't know, dude.
I don't know. I can dash through it at least. When I do it right.
That's fair. If it works for you, it works. I just don't like at least 2 extra frames of correction. But we'll see what Duck finds here. Samaria.
Okay. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
It's still like, this is all potentially worse for Duck, though. I mean, the further he gets where he's still checking items behind other items that might not lead to anything because they're after the flippers, he might just check a bunch of things that Osse will never have to because he's got the flippers already first and is doing them in order.
Yeah, every time you're doing a break like this, there's always a risk that you're breaking behind sort of the deepest sphere.
Yeah.
But I think at some point you just kind of live with that. Oh, that
grapple beam.
That is interesting. So that's actually probably bad for Duck.
I don't know anymore.
I don't know. Maybe you think that maybe your hammer's there. I don't know. Or not hammer, but you're like, what? See, I get so lost in the logic.
Without hammer, that's not available. Without hammer or flippers, either one of those puts that grapple in logic. So he's not going to find whichever piece of the puzzle he has broken in his mind behind it. And it's
that's big. Okay,
that is actually huge.
That actually is telling us a lot about where our flippers have to be. Unfortunately, finding grapple is really bad for him. Because it's going to push him away from the logical shack tool check.
Potentially. Yeah, and the other hard part about this is that so Duck can now do a bunch of crystal dungeons. Without his flippers. Do a bunch. He can do Ice Palace. But does he full on go mode Ice Palace? Because the bow could be there. So he can't just go mode it, but he knows that the flippers can't, obviously.
Yeah. I think this Ice Palace is like an Ice Palace is mostly linear intel mission for Duck. where like with Cane of Samaria and Hammer, he's got a pretty easy Ice Palace ahead of him. And if he finds the Fire Rod, for instance, like that tells him even more about where his flippers can be. Nice
True.
quadruple heart beep or whatever Osse's got.
It's a lot of beeps.
One of the more telling things about just Osse's oh no, Osse, dude. I was going to share a nice heartwarming anecdote about duck finding spring ball and Osse and heart beeps, where I forget who it was asked Osse, is like, if you could set like quadruple heart beeps, would you? And Osse was like, yes, and I would hate it. Which is just so telling. Osse suffers for our amusement. Playing as the chair,
or just to make us suffer as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It's hard to tell which.
But Duck setting up for his icebreaker. Nice bufferless icebreaker, or swing buffered icebreaker, I should say. Pause bufferless.
And that is that both items? No, that's just the first item out of my.
That's one item.
Believe. Yeah, so we know the big key's not in the vanilla big key chest, at least, because it's right there.
Yep. So, how do we know the big key is not in the vanilla big key chest from what you were saying before we found it?
Because for it to be vanilla, so if the big key's on the left side, there has to also be a small key over there. Otherwise, there's a potential that you get the big key and you use the small keys in a way where you lock yourself out of getting all the items. Then it's bad. So if the compass chest is a small key, the big key is vanilla, and vice versa.
That wasn't my recollection.
That might be kind of wrong. I
know
there
is a small key, the big key is there.
Yes.
I don't think it's if there's not a small key, there is also not a big key. But I'm bad at
less
hierarchy
likely.
logic.
Okay, you're right. It's less likely to be the case. It's not forced. You're right. I conflated those two things. I
was not asking to like be a dick. I was asking because I also don't know hierarchy logic.
There are a couple other scenarios that can come up, and I'm usually good enough to recognize them, but not explain why they're things, or like think they're right and it turns out to be right, and I'm not 100% sure of it. But yeah, you're correct. There still was a chance of being a big key there, but not guaranteed. Worth doubling back to the lobby in any case. And looks like Duck hasn't done anything in Ice Palace. Osse is going back here for item. And Death Dwarf, since he doesn't have the cane, can't finish the dungeon.
No cane, no mirror. So
no cane, no game.
This is the way out.
He might as well just wait. So what does he have left from this save and continue? Actually,
the double Bombos Gold Stare here. Are we going back to Mickey Mouse?
Osse didn't do GT, right?
Okay,
yeah. He's got GT available. That's what the save and continue is for.
Yeah.
And maybe if he really wants to go to Mickey Mouse and then reset that away, that's an option too.
And Osse saying, I don't need supers. And he's not resetting this.
So he is probably going to Mickey Mouse just to be sure. Either that, or there's no way this is faster to get to Croc with a reverse lava dive, I would imagine. There's no way. That's the only other thing he could go to from here.
Yeah.
Or just go back to Zelda and then save and quit instead of resetting and taking some of that path through criteria.
I mean, he's got to do the CWJ thing here. He still doesn't have speed or bombs or his space jump,
Right.
so he's chair CWJing here.
He was
He was
practicing it
practicing this
before.
pre-race, yeah.
Not with this sprite, but
No. That was close. Did we see criteria PBs from Duck just now? I'm
yeah,
assuming
it was
we did.
just rupees. Nothing,
Okay.
nothing required.
I just
He's gonna go grab his Bombos medallion and then probably go to Meyer as well. And
okay.
just do all those checks that Osse just did.
I thought this might have been upper wrecked ship,
Wake
but I think
medallion.
maybe the ship has sailed on that.
I don't know. I forgot that he hasn't done it, but that's
Still no speed booster, so like, what's the upside? And he does know he needs the Quake medallion, so Osse is going to bail on the CWJ. I think that's a not unreasonable call. It's definitely not an easy strat, but he's still pretty far away from just going to Croc. At some point, it's going to be the most dense play available, and he'll get that mirror. And that'll kind of put him back on the path. Although...
yeah, we do still have 3 items in front of
yeah.
escape as well. We got... There's a... Or 2
Two
items.
and a map.
There's a map and 2 items.
Yeah.
We got the small key in the back, as well as the Varia, and a couple garbage items.
Yeah, good old 106-minute escape, the SMZ3 classic. You find your fire rod here, and you're just like, how bad of shape am I in? And the answer is, I'm ahead. Because my opponent also didn't do front of escape. But there's no way of knowing that.
I mean, Fire Rod is probably one of the things that... I mean, it's not really the thing Osse wants here. He wants the hammer or the mirror. He wants all the things, but
yeah,
he wants
it's
one of those that
things
opens
that's
up
outstanding that could be here.
But from a competitive standpoint, he knows that if he's really late to the Fire Rod in a early available location,
it
doesn't open anything else with everything else that he's got. It
continuing
opens
for the map
modular.
Here. This might be just to make sure.
Yeah, maybe forgetting, was it in the back and I just forgot, thought it was a heart piece, and I tuned out those items next to the key.
Either that, or maybe there was a map in the back and I'm just wrong.
That's
okay. I did remember right, but it's been a while, so like a lot like Osse there. I probably am just gonna check it just to make sure. Osse is pretty quickly running out of things. Looks like we're going into Bowless Eastern now. So this is another one of those feels bad adventures in SMZ3. Where like 2 hours in and you still have multiple outstanding things and you just start playing these dense Sphere 1 locations that you skipped early. And it never feels good. Okay, dense is in not singleton. Like, Osse's looking at like that against slow way to Croc, Mickey Mouse missiles that he's pretty much committed to not existing.
Yeah, they both runners have some really interesting outstanding items. Like
ice clipping to Shack Tool. Hammerless ice dive. Like, the options are not good.
Not at all. And I agree. If you get the item, Eastern's like, it's seen as super linear, but like it actually can be kind of varied. Like the first 3 chests, if the first 3 are all items, that's pretty dense. It doesn't take that long to grab the first 3. But if you have like, map, compass, big key, and it strings you along, or you have to go to the vanilla big key chest to get the big key to go back to the big chest, it can vary a lot on how much time it takes and how dense the dungeon really is.
Yeah, there are definitely ways
It's
in
a
which
pretty good one. We got
it's-
all 3 items
Okay, yeah, good
there.
good layout.
That's the dense one.
Bad outcome, but nice Samaria strat here for Meyer 2. Now those Puyos are getting a lot of hand, and okay, and now it's turned into a bad Meyer 2 for Duck. We're
Yeah,
getting like
if you
a
lay
nice
the
6 cycle or whatever.
there's a less aggressive way you can do that and get rid of the left and right Wizrobe. So you place the block a little bit lower, where the Popo never blocks you, but you don't kill the top Wizrobe.
Yeah, this is Croc or
It's got to be
the weirdest Mickey Mouse play I've ever seen, where we're not fluting to Meyer and CWJing out again. Like, the items have broken in pretty bad sequence for both of our runners, so no one's feeling real good, I don't think.
It's really hard to tell who has the advantage here still. Like,
I mean, Duck's going to be able to clean up Meyer here. He needs to maintain his perspective on where his flippers have to be.
yes.
Like, I definitely have fallen into the trap, and I don't want to say that Duck is also, likely to do this or has potential to do this, but like, it's very easy to lose track of a sequence break once you get so many spheres past it. And so water walking for the hook shot and finding the hammer behind it and Samaria and now being in Meyer, like, if you find a fire rod here, I like to think Duck is, very well calibrated about that, but like, I could definitely see myself losing track of at least some piece of that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and I think for Duck, he's also got to just not go back to wreck ship. I think that's what he needs. That's just so many checks that
you can't go back.
Osse's gonna find all the stuff that Duck's found. He's gonna beat Ice in similar fashion. He's gonna so like that dungeon advantage isn't really that much of an advantage. He's gonna beat Meyer eventually, going back in for the boss, which Duck's gonna do now.
Yeah, Duck
Probably
is saving
before
time on Meyer, but like, I think if you're Duck, you can't go to wreck ship before speed. He is going to save time with space jump, like, won't have to do the weird tripper thing, and I just don't know if it's like, if that's enough of a difference.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think Duck going back to wreck ship here just gives Osse time to follow the chain that is very clearly laid out in front of him and catch up on dungeons. Because he's really only one dungeon behind. He's an Ice Palace and a small portion of Meyer behind.
Now Duck is on half a heart here, so
no powder.
Yeah.
And no mushroom to fake powder. They both turned that in earlier.
Yeah, did turn the mushroom in. Doesn't have silver arrows. Did hit the switch, so is remembering to do this.
Yeah, looked like he was trying to set up the spooky action glitch and didn't quite have the success. Either something wasn't right and he gave himself a menu buffer, map buffer, or that interrupted him with a misclick button.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't find the fire rod, so like, there's not a lot of sense in preserving the altitude variable.
Oh, that's true too. Maybe he realized that and bailed on the setup because of it.
Otherwise, I think you just do it because it's kind of easy enough.
I mean, I do the dash buffer every time, no matter what, because I'm just accustomed to doing it.
Yeah, half magic and cape here with tempered sword. This is going to be a lot cozier of a fight than it looks like. Although Duck is not just going to use a bunch of slash. Okay, I was going to say that. I want to see stop and slash here just to keep it nice and safe.
Very nice.
All right, yeah, and
Very
Duck
enough.
getting out of the goo before uncaping. Not taking any chances. And Osse is going to bring the Garuda over here so that he can get out with Ice Beam.
Going up to the speedway is too slow.
This is not especially fast, but it's faster.
It is very nice. I wouldn't have thought to do that. Osse just knows so many things everywhere.
At some point, I feel like I ran into a seed where I thought that that was what I was supposed to do logically a few years back. I don't know if it necessarily was, but I think I went and like actually looked on the GitHub to see if ice freezing the Garuda was in logic afterwards, and I don't think it was.
Not sure it can be with... Well, unless you have a late morph. It'd have to be late morph.
Mhm.
Then you'd have speed to get to Croc. So, yeah, I don't think that's possible. I don't know how I feel about Duck going back in for this chest. Obviously, he knows it's the item, but he did go to the boss on a gamble with knowing there's something... Knowing this could be the item.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's not as bad as most people make it out to be relative to just doing cutscene the first time. Like, doing cutscene is always bad. But
Yeah.
having to go back in, like, Mire 2's not... Like, it feels bad. It's not really that bad. I mean...
See,
you
the lobby, like the hub room, is way worse than Mire 2.
Yeah.
It's just a big room. Takes a long time to get through.
Osse is going to get his hook shot.
Yep, and he's almost definitely going to go to East Death Mountain with it. No hammer to do ice or swamp. There's not really a reason to do those. So he's going to get his hammer and Cane of Samaria pretty soon as well. And then we might see some differences. He did get both items out of Mire, so he's probably not going back there until he has a bow.
Yeah. And that, you know, pretty reasonable. He's already got his silver arrows.
Very curious to see where Duck is going right now. From a swamp?
We can't get anything out of swamp.
You can get one item. It's out. No,
not
he
without
doesn't
the
have
flippers.
That's right. Pyramid Fairy? Does he have the... No.
This is K45.
He does have K45, which was interesting.
And no one's been there yet.
Past that earlier.
And
it is in logic for him.
Yeah.
But I think it's just by itself.
Mirror Croc. Yeah, it could be the flippers.
Shovel? Did we check the shovel yet?
One of them has not yet checked the shovel.
Duck has the shovel. Does Osse
Duck does have the shovel. The shovel's behind the flippers, though. The shovel cannot be the flippers, but I think you just do it anyway because it could be flippers and then one of the rods. Right here.
I guess Duck also has hammer pegs. Ooh. Well, I guess
Duck's going somewhere else. He doesn't want to check his shovel out.
Bombos tablets available too.
Yeah, that's in logic.
Duck's also got Hera and Ether tablet. I think that would be a smart play for him at this point. 3 items that can be quick.
Yeah, with Hera being a pendant though, like, I'm not wild about it. You also have Spike Cave up there. Like, there's not a lot of great options.
Because his most dense option is...
Are we going back to
legitimately
Thieves?
The worst one for him, from what we know anyways. And that's the top erect ship. All those other options are bad, and that's kind of the top on item density somehow.
I don't remember if there's an item in Thieves, but this looks like it's hammer pegs.
So.
Possibly North Dark World stuff?
Yeah, I think we have Graveyard Ledge still as well, don't we?
Oh yeah. That's up there.
Osse, when he gets his cane, we'll see what he chooses to do. I would imagine Spike Cave for him. Maybe Spike Cave and Ether Tablet. Or maybe he just save and quits or flutes away out of here to go to Womp or Ice. All valid plays.
Yeah, Osse getting the bad news about 2 weird one-off item checks in Hookshot Cave. He's going to head toward his Spike Cave play. Maybe mirror into Hera? Looks like we're getting Hera from Osse. And maybe also from Duck.
You definitely do the Ether Tablet, and the first 2 checks in Hera very often give you 1 item, so you could always make an argument to just do that, do the lobby, the first 2 checks, get your key and first item, and then bail on the rest of the pendant dungeon. It could be tedious and pull you into the basement.
Nope, we're not touching Hera. We're just, no. It's a pendant.
Duck's almost definitely touching Hera. Since he's gone up here. He's got much less available without the flippers.
Yeah, and mirror is not necessarily behind the flippers. Right, like mirror has no tie to the flippers as far as Duck knows.
Correct. So yeah, he might be thinking the flippers are just up here in Hera this whole time.
Okay, we are gonna continue the Hera play. I think this is the right decision for Duck, and Osse is pretty much rightly making the play into Ice Palace here. All right, and that's both items, and so Duck is considering. Yeah, he's gonna kill Moldorm here.
I think that's fair. That's like I don't know, 30, 45 seconds is all it takes. Just on the off chance that Ped can have something, which it could still have either of the rods. Could be on pedestal as far as Duck knows. And I guess if the bow were to break somewhere early, the flippers could be too, from his perspective. No, because Hammer was flipper locked. That's we're not getting the flippers on Ped today. No. He should know that.
Unless Duck has really, lost the thread. Does get his pendant. Yeah, but nothing stopping Kraid pendant from being available. And so it really is just the bow as the holdout on Ped for logic. And we are getting that Spike Cave check from Duck as expected. So where does Duck go after this? The seed is kind of throttling him down, like having that Cane of Samaria and that hammer both be behind the flippers. Nice stair clip from Osse. Where does Duck go?
Going back up the mountain, which tells me to Meridia. I don't see any other place he can go at this flute spot. So
yeah, there's
really
nothing
good for Duck
on the mountain. So, and he already got his Quake medallion to get into Mire.
Yeah. It's gonna feel really, really bad for Duck, even though it's at at this time, the best thing he can do, and made sense from before too. It is kind of a long backtrack from like the watering hole area all the way back to Aqueduct.
Yeah. Although once he finds those flippers, that's going to put that grapple in logic, and Osse has hard isolated Shack Tool. I think Duck's probably going to do Shack Tool here.
I think so too. And if it's something good, he's kind of turned the tables and really finds himself at the advantage. Oh, he's just going straight to Shack Tool.
That's a thing. Sandpits don't exist.
It's interesting because it's like I see
can't be
him
the
doing
flippers.
it, but he knows it can't be the flippers that he desperately needs.
Yeah.
And it can't be a bow that leads to flippers, and it can't be a fire rod that leads to flippers. And doing this without the sandpit just doesn't quite make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. At some point, especially against, a runner of like Osse's caliber, you start to check in almost like a reverse order. And so I expect him to get the sandpit on this trip, because I don't think this is a just Shack Tool check. I think you're going back out to the toilet, up the toilet, then back through Croc Alley to the sandpit.
A Kundo route, basically.
Kinda, yeah. Osse is going to be our first one into Swamp. See if we find those rods here in Swamp.
There's not a lot left. I think we almost have to find something in Swamp. Like, what do we have left that's not been checked by Osse here?
Mickey Mouse missiles. No, I like Shack Tool.
Oh my goodness.
Magic Bat.
Well, that's actually not hammerlocked. So,
yeah.
Well, it is behind the grapple, but the powder itself isn't. So that's really weird.
All right, we've got outs. I hope that Duck continues to stay in Meridia here.
Yeah, I can't imagine there'd be any chance of him not doing plasma, like you mentioned.
Yeah, if he was out of supers, then that would have been a thing. But he did have 2.
That has happened to me before. That feels bad.
Yeah. So for anyone who's joined us in the past hour-ish, Duck was late to the sandpits despite early to gravity. Osse scouted both sandpits and found that one had flippers plus ice beam, and one had boots and like a missile pack. And the first one Duck checked had the boots and the missile pack. So he took that and left, and finds his arrow capacity upgrade that we knew was here at Plasma from Osse's check.
Yeah, and to clarify,
Osse is skipping. Sorry.
He didn't just leave, he left and then looped around to go all the way up to Beach and Watering Hole, grab the rest of the front of Meridia. So really, and he save scummed those from the tube in Red Tower. So very securely orphaned just the left sand pit. In a way that was really smart with that save scum if it had worked out, but did not quite in this case.
Yes. So he's on his way, presumably, to his Ice Beam and his Flippers. And I think we'll probably see him into Swamp pretty much right after. Osse is still in at least go -3, with both rods and bow outstanding, but is heading to the back of Swamp before doing left side, which surprises me.
Surprises me a little bit. I mean, there's no way Osse feels great about some of this either. I mean, he was so late to Croc there, and it was just so immediate. Croc had mirror to hook, or sorry, mirror to hook shot to hammer and cane. Like, Osse might be feeling bad and just trying to say, okay, I need to stay on path, get progression done, and find what I need on the way, like you mentioned earlier, Maniacal. And This is better than left side swamp for that, although it does make the full dungeon clear a little slower overall, and we do have either 2 or 3 items left here.
Yeah, this is
So
gonna
probably
get
goes
Duck
back in for it.
back on this path. I really wish we had the Duck face cam here.
He's not angry enough to pull cables out of his monitor, as we accidentally had happen in the previous race.
Yeah. Speaking of, I mean, like, this is now slower than Duck's finish time in that race, basically. Like, I think he got like a 208, or no, he got a 220 flat, I think, is what it was. But, like, this is where you start to... Oh, and there's the bow in the big chest in Swamp for Osse.
Bow in the big chest with the... Oh, that's... Osse not sure what he wants to do with the left side. Leaving an item or going over there just for one.
That's pretty aggressive. And
having already done Pod and
yeah,
Eastern.
you've already done Pod and Eastern's a pendant.
Pod is 1 item?
Is
that right?
Are we going to Pyramid Fairy, I guess? Like, this has to be Pyramid Fairy.
Oh, that's true. It is a red crystal. That's a couple items. The big key was in the back, though. So the way Osse routed did put the big chest a little bit more on path in that regard. Didn't have to backtrack after doing left side and getting the big key afterwards, or orphaning that big chest, which is the real risk of doing left side first. It makes it so hard to get the big chest if it's, you know, if the big key is really late in the back of the dungeon.
Just go back in.
You say that, it just
like
every second is a second you're giving up to your opponent if they routed differently.
Yeah, you just have to commit to it. And Ducky is going to check his powder. See,
I think that's a good play.
If Shackpool's got the goods, I mean, yeah.
Before you sink all the time into Swamp.
Yeah, and it wasn't there, so left side Swamp is...
We still got an item on Helmasaur, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe it's a map or compass, but it's definitely available and required at some point. And Graveyard Ledge has not been checked.
I think Duck did it.
Did Duck check it?
On his way down to, like, go into Backdoor Meridia or something. Didn't he do it on his way to Cairn Jump? Maybe I'm misremembering. No one did Graveyard?
He didn't have the mirror there, and he did Water Walk on the south side, and I don't know if that works when you go into the underworld.
It went a really weird way.
I don't know if you can mirror from that anyway and keep your Water Walk state. That's a very niche situation where that would ever come up.
I don't think you can, but it is the Fire Rod here on Graveyard Ledge.
Okay.
So everything's coming up Osse here in the past couple minutes.
I mean, which really makes sense. I mean, Osse he's done everything.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have much left.
He's already done.
All the good items must be at these like 5 locations.
Yeah, having already done front of Eastern, front of Pod, and had neither of those pay out, like he's just got like Smith Chain and a couple one-off overworld checks left. Yeah, and one thing in left side Swamp that he didn't grab.
Yeah, like if that's the Ice Rod, that's like the leading out for Duck, I would say. But otherwise, like if the Ice Rod's on the path here, this looks like maybe a pure lead for Osse, I think. I'm trying to think if there's... I guess Duck has finished Mire. Osse has to go back to Mire.
Yes.
This is definitely interesting. Still really is either runner's game, which is one of the things I actually really like about SMZ3 is, you know, we're 134 minutes into this, and it may end up with one runner winning by 10 or more minutes, but like it is still very much either runner's game at this point.
Yeah, for sure. Ooh, nice splash damage on that fire rod shot. And nice ice rod, just right there.
Yeah,
okay.
Just right on the path. Where else would you want it? Osse, like, repositions himself in his chair and is gonna get to just kind of rush to the end of the game. I would expect Duck to kind of be on the same path.
Yeah, with sorry, excuse me. With 2 items still in left side swamp, Duck's gonna almost have to go back in after the Argus kill here. And he doesn't have a whole lot left either.
Has Duck been in pod?
He has not been in pod yet.
Yeah, so I think the bow, I don't see that ending well for Duck. Is you find the bow, like, you're not going to Graveyard Ledge there, you're going to pod.
Yeah. And then maybe mirror and do Eastern after it.
Yeah. Yeah, like, if the fire rod was behind the bow, instead of just chilling in Graveyard Ledge, I would feel a lot better about, Duck's potential to bring this back and or keep it really close. As it is, like, he still has to go find the thing in the really bad spot.
Yes. And of course, once he finds the fire rod, he'll get his ice rod immediately after, pretty much the same as Osse did. That's kind of a given.
Yeah, it's just, like, I want to look at paired checks as opposed to weird singleton checks if I'm in go -2 like that. I don't know. I kind of think Duck is going to do left side here, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a really tough call. I mean,
but with the bow, like, all of pod being available, I think it might be too much.
and even Osse, even having done pod, Osse had to think about it and was like, is this even worth? Left side's slow. I have a handful of overworld checks because Osse hadn't done the shovel check, the Bombos tablet, either the mirror checks and like the overworld.
And Duck is going to do left side, which I think this is a very fine call.
So too.
Osse has a nice route for the end game available here of just clean up Turtle Rock, get to go kill Ganon, or clean up Turtle Rock, clean up Meyer, go kill Ganon, do pod, reset, do Torian. So it's kind of a prescribed path here for him. Duck, it's really all about when he's going to get to that Graveyard Ledge. If I'm in Duck's situation, I could very, very reasonably last locate that fire rod there.
Yeah, I think at this point, with how hard Duck has pushed it off, the top of Wreck Ship is going to come after literally everything else. So
I forgot about the top of Wreck Ship still.
Yeah.
How have we not been there? Like, no, I get it.
At this point, you just...
But, like, it's pretty...
Can't. He knows it's too much time, too late. That.
Oh, now maybe, though. Okay. Maybe you say my out is that it's the speed checks. I would expect Waterway and Climb and Upper Wrecked Ship
gosh.
before Graveyard Ledge.
That's actually terrible for Duck then.
Yeah. This is like...
And he's doing Pyramid Fairy as well.
Pyramid Fairy.
Before Pod. I think that, checks out.
And probably into Pod rather than into Graveyard Ledge, which makes perfect sense.
Osse just literally looks for the last key here. He doesn't need anything else. I mean, he's going to maybe check like the rest of Laser Bridge in case speed is there. When he finds the small key, that's really the only thing he wants that he doesn't have already. Charge would be nice, I guess.
Yeah, at this point we have enough ammo that the charge is just irrelevant.
Yeah, charge saves like a ship refill, and that's about it.
Duck is going to get the pyramid check into the Pyramid Fairy here. Good holding off on that pyramid check. Yeah, I have trouble seeing Duck doing anything but Pod next. We'll see what he decides to do, or what he decided to do 10 minutes ago.
Fun fact: you can mirror straight out of that doorway, and there's no obstacles in your path. You do not have to walk some set distance over.
Yep. As with
that's a
any of the
mirror bonk there.
The dungeon exits. Now, sometimes I will walk some out of that door, but yeah, not into the mirror bonk. Osse needs to not get too bullied here by Trinex.
He's setting up a little far to the side and to the left here, so he should recoil plenty away. Just getting a single spin in to play it safe.
Yeah, really safe kiting and
yeah. Especially with the ice on the floor, you could opt to take the double hit on the spin and bounce to the right, but with the ice on the floor, that ends up being a lot more risky. So, good adjustment to the normal strat from Osse there.
Okay, Osse does in fact remember that he has to finish Misery Mire. Not surprised at all. Just he's doing what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, that's good. We don't want a G6.
Yeah, a little bit less damaging in this than it would be with an entire mountain climb.
Oh yeah.
This you just drop in and Ganon yells at you and calls you a doofus or something.
And I don't recall where the big key was here in Pod, so obviously some of these
Harmless
checks...
Hellway.
Okay, so all these checks up front, Duck was going to do anyway, even in go mode, looking for that big key. So we're not at the point where doing this before Graveyard Ledge is costing him any time versus Osse.
It does save a little bit of time here having that bow. And it's going to save the double dip time. It's like he's going to not have to travel back into Pod. Is going to get it all done here. Is going to set up the stair extension. Oh no! What, dude?
He's gonna.
Why did he menu to Samaria? Okay, he wants to be sure that.
Maybe he changed his mind on the routing here.
Yeah, he paused specifically to go to Samaria just to bait me into thinking he was doing a stair extension.
Yeah, since he's already got 4 small keys. Unless it's a 5-key front, this is either item or big key, and he wants an item and he wants a big key, so it makes sense to not leave that behind.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I just hate the pause menu Samaria. Osse cleans up his Vitreous fight nicely. Has a lot more hearts than Duck had when he was here. Not on half a heart and haven't used cape. And has the bow and silvers.
That Osse's going to flute to 5. Fastest way to get to the pyramid. Works out really well in these fast cannon seeds. I guess he might do pod first. There's not really a reason not to, I suppose. And then just mirror and flute back to 5 afterwards to do Ganon. There's always a chance that, you know, Helmut Sword King has the gold sword and that it means making a mistake on the Ganon fight doesn't cost you a cycle, so there's technically more upside to doing this first, so that makes sense. I like this. Chances are it won't matter, though. But we'll get to see nice, potentially almost sync dungeons. Oh, that's right. We saw the sword. My mistake. I forgot already because I wrote it off as being not anything either than we're going to get. Gold sword is on Lumberjack, so that will not happen. And Osse knows that.
Got both runners in pod, but this is not that story. Duck is on his way now to finish Helma, which is good. But for Osse, it's this and then just Torian, so...
And Ganon.
Yeah, oh yeah, Ganon. Oh, Ganon too. I thought we were doing Ganon into this, sorry. And like, in my brain, that's what happened.
I don't think it matters. It's pretty comparable, going from running from the pyramid after the Ganon fight versus fluting and taking the portal to get to pod. From the top of the pyramid, this is probably faster. Not certain.
I just, in my mind, had written the sequence of Ganon into pod, into Torian, and just completely forgot that's what we were dealing with. Yeah, pretty clean route to the end game here. We'll see if Duck routes directly from this to Graveyard Ledge.
I don't know. I would be more inclined to think he does Eastern.
Yeah, I mean, on density for sure.
And like, it's not... Graveyard Ledge is just so far away still.
Yeah.
He's not going to be closer ever, but he's...
And he's got those speed...
close now.
Like, I like not doing
his advantage competitively, I think.
Yeah, I like doing the speed checks here for Duck. We know obviously it's not going to work, but yeah, I like staying out Eastern and just going right for the speed.
Yeah, I think that's a good play, knowing your opponent, knowing this is the item I found in the worst spot that Osse's most likely not to get, and my time is bad right now. I've had a really circuitous route and took me a long time to get the things I needed, so I needed something to break for me to win.
Yeah, I mean, this is the right play in Duck's situation, for sure.
Nice clean 1-1. First 2 rounds of Ganon for Osse. 1 cycle each. Handful of warps, not too bad. And a very easy Silver's Fire Rod, Half Magic, Tempered Sword, Phase 4.
Yeah, you really can't ask for too much more than this for Ganon, and Osse kind of shows why. Yeah, Duck is going to show us a couple checks we haven't seen yet. You know, did get to some locations that Osse, never ended up getting to. Just none of them ended up being the thing this time. But yeah, pretty much until what, like 217, where the ice rod dropped off Moth. Like everything was sort of still up in the air, and Duck had very real outs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And before the bow wasn't even known, that go -3 before we hit the bow, there was still quite a few others as well. Well, at least a few extras that could have helped out Duck. I guess actually we might see Synctorians as well.
Yeah,
and we probably will. That would explain the refill and save before Duck came down here. He's gonna check these items. If they're nothing, he's gonna reset back to the ship and then go do Torian, beat Mother Brain, and then, or at least that's the plan. And then go back to Link to the Past to clean up wherever those last items are. Unfortunately, just not enough time to do all that before Osse's Torian, which is bound to be very quick. No speed, but still goes very fast.
Yeah, that was a nice Metroids one for no speed. Having ice, wave, plasma, plenty of ammo, plenty of health. No space jump, so he is just gonna kind of run through a lot of stuff here. And Duck is finally making that play up into upper wrecked ship. Once the seed gets bad enough, he can't skip it forever.
Okay, this time I forgot that wreck ship was here.
Yeah, and this is Duck still pushing that, possible speed booster advantage from deep left side swamp. Where, this is where the last speed locked item is that he hasn't seen, so. No reason this isn't the fire rod.
Not quite getting the baby skip. Without speed booster, it's definitely harder.
What is this kneeling sprite? It's just a lump of chair.
It looks very sad, that's for sure.
It was, yeah. It was not feeling real good.
Too bad he can't give us the Crystal Flash animation to refill his health, so we can see what that looks like. I don't think I've seen that one before.
Yeah, I'm real interested in what the chair Crystal Flash looks like, I'll be honest. But with 110.65, his ammo is in fine shape. Did Duck not check the sky missiles there? Like, he's just going just for the speed booster?
He checked the upper ocean, the mid-ocean ones.
Yeah, he checked mid.
He checked earlier. He did space jump up to Sky Missiles, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He saw
did?
the reserve and
Okay.
dropped down. Yeah.
I looked away. I was watching the chair, and then I saw him running from the right. So
Yeah, he used the space jump to look at it and
okay,
pulled
that
away at
makes
the
a lot
last
more
second to
sense.
make sure he didn't accidentally pick up the reserve. Would have been a travesty. But yeah, as you mentioned, nice comfy Mother Brain fight here for Osse.
And nice comfy chair for Mother Brain. see
really look big enough.
Which side wins.
And with the amount of health, Osse could take probably 3-4 catch-ups.
It's gonna stain though.
That's true.
You really don't want that.
It's that nice red color in the back though, so you won't even notice it.
Gotta get like the Tide to Go or whatever. Oh no! The chair is broken again. But yeah, Duck learning that these were not the rods he was seeking. He's gonna go back in for the wreck ship E-Tank location. I'm trying to think of like any case where Duck gets to Graveyard Ledge before Osse finishes this and finds either of his rods, but I don't see it happening.
I think he's resetting here and going to go to Torian. Yeah. I think he'll be in Torian when Osse finishes. So that seems more likely.
Yeah, seems very reasonable. His ammo counts are plenty good at 90, 60, 25.
Yeah, because he wasn't planning on potentially doing this into Torian. I don't think he would have refilled at that point in time. He would have just, from the reset into SM, gone to those checks.
Yeah, that is one of the cool things that happens, like, once your loadout is sufficiently good in SMZ3, late game you just end up in this situation where you can set up these really pretty long save paths and reset paths, where, like, you can do all of Wrecked Ship and then just reset, because it wasn't the one thing that you needed to find. See Osse navigate the escape with this chair. As much as I really am not a custom sprite fan, this has been really some sort of experience. Welcome into everyone coming in from SpeedGaming 3. Y'all are coming into the end stages of an SMZ3 combo randomizer match between Osse and apathyduck in the finals of the SGL online tournament. Osse just about to take the win here, assuming that nothing really bizarre happens.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time considering how bad some of these item placements were.
The item placements weren't great. There were a lot of ways to get to them faster that the runners just didn't choose, and that's okay. They both played really well, made some really good choices, and just kind of ended up making competing bad choices, and Osse got through the maze of items faster, so GG to Osse.
And GG's. Nice finish, first place for Osse 101. And with that that finished, Duck did forfeit.
Yep, Osse is gonna win another SGL tournament in SMZ3. GG and congrats to Osse. Well, I don't think he's going to win the one in person, but we'll get to ask him. And looks like Duck and Osse are both here with us. So GG's, fellas. Good game.
Yo, GG.
GG.
So I guess, Duck, maybe I'll ask you first. Some of the decisions you made, like I know you like the single sand pit, but like putting off upper wreck ship for a long time, like what were your conditions for getting back to those things, or were you just kind of hoping against?
It was mostly speed was what I was looking for.
Makes sense.
Like, so, like the power bomb, it was. I mean, the reason I didn't really have much. So like, I found the power bomb to get to 10, and that's what made me left. Like, I don't even know if you guys even noticed it, but like, I was on so few power bombs. Like, I didn't have a way at that point. I was still looking for like Dark World access through Meridia. So like, just like power bombs would have worked for that too with the CF clip. So that was it. And it's just like, you know, I came into this as like, I'm just gonna play aggressive. Like, and it's the final match. Like, it's against Osse. Like, that's all you can do. And if it goes my way, it goes my way. And if it not, then not. So. Yeah, wreck ship ended up working out, and then I just finally, you know, at the end there, I was kind of debating between Ped and doing the speed checks, and I thought maybe Osse would miss the speed, so I was like, well, this is my better shot. I assume Bo ended up being your go mode, or was your the wrong? No. Okay. Did you
so my go mode was Swamp to get Bow, and then I did Pyramid Fairy up to Graveyard Ledge for Fire Rod.
Okay, so you didn't get speed, but
nope, I don't know where speed was.
It was left side.
Okay.
So like my calls were correct. It just didn't work out. You know, it's the way random goes. Like, so.
Yep.
You know, honestly, and I was really playing. Like, I really thought. Speed or flippers was going to be in wreck ship for the longest time, and I was just hoping to snag speed somewhere else before I finally went back. You know, and I'm like, okay, I'll get my flippers because I just completely sequence broke them. And then once I saw the hammer, like I knew it really narrowed down where things could be, and I figured like, okay, I'm going to run into everything. I'll run into my fire rod, my ice rod. I'll run into, like, honestly, like with the route I did, if you wanted to screw me over, the place you would put an item is Graveyard Ledge. It was literally like I would have last location that. It wasn't even on my radar.
Yeah, and I kind of said that, like, it was one of the sort of the worst possibles. And I really liked your decision to chase speed. It was a good read that was sort of the live play. So I actually really liked the call to, you know, push speed to, you know, waterway and climb supers and then back up to upper wreck ship. Obviously it didn't work out this time, but I think it was a solid play.
Right, so my like thinking during the seed was that once I got through all of Dark World and had nothing, then the mirror I missed was just going to lead to everything on the mountain, the same as Duck was saying. But it just worked out that I could get to Graveyard Ledge kind of en route, and that was like one of my only outs at that point, because it seemed like doing Croc early-ish was reasonable in the seed.
Oh, Osse, I'm so mad. So we were talking before. I was like, hey, so what stupid pony trick should I practice? He was like, oh, do the continuous wall jump with high jump out of screw attack. So, like, I do upper Norfair when I do upper Norfair, right? And then I think Flute was up there. Yeah, Flute was up there. So I'm like, okay, cool. I can go backdoor it. And I was kind of planning on doing that. And I put it off. And it's like, I started doing Dark World. Like, as soon as I hit 30 supers, I'm going to do that. And halfway through, I realized all I have is high jump boots. And I'm like, oh my, like, and I said before, like, if this is it, then GG. And I'm sitting there like steaming. I'm like, this is like, so I wanted to do lower Norfair for the longest time. Because I even skipped wave. Because again, I'm playing Osse. Like, that's such a minor optimization, right? Just to do, because I was planning like, okay, I'm coming right back to lower Norfair. I'll just do wave on the way out. that's like a 3-second optimization, but like, you know, it's the finals, so I'm gonna do that kind of stuff. And like, it's like I was so mad. I'm like, if this is actually the thing, I'm gonna just fits.
Yeah. I tried it, but I couldn't get the trick. I'm gonna blame it on the sprite. I don't practice that on chair.
Yeah, so how'd you
I got
feel
the
about
frame
that
once.
sprite? Yeah, I saw
Um,
you had the frame for the wall jump.
Yo, it better be
once.
Captain Nova. I don't know what you're playing with, but it better be Captain Nova.
Yeah, once I got the CWJ over the moat, I was happy with the sprite. It was a lucky sprite. It's one of the
Yeah.
hardest things with custom sprites.
Yeah, there were some really great animations, honestly, on that sprite. Do you have any idea what the crystal flash is for that sprite?
No, I don't remember.
Okay, we were really curious. I was kind of hoping that we were gonna see a crystal flash clip, and then ice was, of course, in the sand pit, and you didn't have enough ammo, so I didn't even think about it the first time you were in Meridia. Like, if you crystal flashed, you would have had no ammo for Botwoon. So it was not even a tenable route, but I was kind of hoping to see that chair crystal flash.
Yeah, it's just a spontaneous trip into Meridia. Gravity was right there, followed it. And then I find ice and flippers, and that's like the makings of Dark World access, but can't follow that right now with this ammo. So
Yeah, also no Pearly
That's
for
fine.
you yet, because you did Meridia before high jump area, whereas Duck had done high jump a little earlier, so if he finds those things, maybe he can play it into Dark World if his ammo's good, but it was
if
certainly
I found
interesting.
if I found those flippers, because I did walk across the top right to get back to Meridia at some point, and I just didn't have the mirror at that point. If I get those flippers, then that's right. That's where mirror was. Yeah, I just honestly needed to do. I needed the flippers and I needed the mirror earlier, and I would have done Graveyard Ledge. So, yeah, I mean, there was. If you had just given me speed earlier, or high jump, or not high jump, or spring ball, or something, I do lower Norfair earlier. I do it completely before Meridia, and I get up there just fine. And that's probably the difference right there.
right, I had that thought myself. Really, it's like you could have mirror and use your Meridia portal, and that give you the hook shot. Just hook shot over. But I guess you also have mitts. Here were these other movement items, by the way. You have speed, morph bombs, and space jump. Probably spring ball.
Space Jump was Mickey Mouse, which was kind of that was a little spicy one for us because you were in LN quite a bit earlier, Osse, and obviously you skipped that. With high jump, it's of course still a little risky, but we were thinking that might be a potential way back in because at that point, Duck was still missing the flippers and ice beam.
Yeah, I couldn't decide on my Lore Norfair route, how I wanted to play it. I was gonna fight Ridley, get the items, and then go to Meyer. Then decide against it.
The real question is, do you have mirror shield?
I don't think he
I
did.
think so.
I don't actually
Then
know.
I win.
You win the shield battle.
And bombs where were morph bombs again? Purple chest?
Purple
Morph bombs
chest.
were purple chest, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Duck, you were finding major items in bad places that Osse didn't check, but they weren't good enough to turn things back over for you.
Yeah, I mean, this is how that's just the. If you put that, there's plenty of places. I mean, Osse was saying there's only so many places that he could have gotten bailed out. Like, you put it in my path, and I win by 20 minutes. Or if you just put it out large, right? Like, this is probably close, even with everything else we did. Like, if you just put it, like, I don't know, put both rods in Pyramid Fairy or something like that. Like,
Oh,
that was really close.
absolutely.
So, I mean, like, there was the same with the finals last year. Like, Ivan was just wandering the four corners of the earth because he made a decision and it was the wrong one. So, like, I mean, it's just, you're going to play aggressive in these and, like, that's what happens.
Yeah, it was still a great race. I know Maniacal mentioned it at one point. Like at 2:15, we still didn't have any idea who was going to win, but it looked like somebody was probably going to win by 10-15 minutes. Just who's it gonna be?
Yeah,
Still
like
up in the air.
if Fire Rod's behind Speed or Ice Rod's behind Speed instead of Ice Rod behind Fire Rod, then that's gonna swing the race over for you, Duck. Or if it was like Criteria Power Bombs or something where like your can flies allowed you to check it that Osse couldn't. It's just the disparate things that you found that you leveraged effectively just didn't lead to the items in this case, which that's SMZ3. Like, okay. It was a really interesting race for sure. That was competitive, even like Ace was saying, like past 2 hours, which is pretty typical.
Yeah, as long as it was like, when the difference is this big at the end, like as long as it's still like one of those ones that, like, I know Asder was, had sort of the same thing against Osse, where it was just like he was wandering the earth when Osse was just like done, and like it was just came down to decisions. But like I'd calm that one. It's like there was times when we thought Asder was going to take the lead because of the way the sea was playing out. So like it was exciting the entire time, and then it just, that one ended up being left side swamp mitts, which they both skipped, and just kind of turned into a cluster.
Yeah, and that was absolutely the case with this race, where there were sequences where you could have very easily been ahead pretty late. So definitely was a very interesting race.
Yeah, I mean, I've only lost 2 matches the last 2 years, and they've both been to Osse. So, and no, I did not lose to Eddie. Okay, I'm almost at Ganon finally. You guys there?
Yeah.
Yeah, just we're watching you into Turtle Rock right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of pausing because I'm like pushing to talk to you.
Yeah, clearly executing not the #1 focus of what's going on the game screen.
No, I figured I'd give you guys something to look at for during the interviews and stuff. So
yeah, really, good tournament run. I guess, Duck, I think you're going to be at the in-person SGL, yes?
Yeah, gotta do the last qual tomorrow.
Oh yeah, you should be able to improve. Your first 2 looked like they went a little rough.
Well, the first one was a forfeit, and the second one I literally quadrupled last location. So yeah.
Yeah. So we'll be looking for you to improve standing in that one. Osse, I guess I haven't seen you do any of the calls yet. Are you making it to the in-person SGL?
No, I'll be there for in live.
Oh well, then I guess
So
someone else will win the SMZ3 tournament at that one.
Yeah, I'm hoping for a return of the little trophies. So maybe someone will win one of those.
Well, since my kryptonite is not going to be there, maybe I can take it finally. Osse and Alucard, my two kryptonites.
I mean, both very solid runners, so it makes sense. And we're getting some intel from Tracy in chat. She's saying, I happen to know there will be a trophy, so
very good.
Get ready. So all the incentive to play the qual tomorrow. So the qual, I think 9 or 9:30 Eastern.
Yeah, 9:30.
9:30 p.m.
Again,
Eastern.
going to be missing
Is
these
it that late?
80% races.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was earlier. Thank you for telling me it was that late.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird time. I don't really know. Oh, Tracy's now saying 9 p.m. I thought it was 9:30, but okay. I'll believe Tracy.
I was thinking 8. I must have auto converted the time zone in my head, and that's where I got that number.
Yeah, I'm watching the restream in Discord, so cannot reasonably tab over to the SGL server and double check everything.
Yeah, this has been a great tournament. It was a lot of fun. Doing commentary for the race, of course, and playing in comms for other races as well. Great to see you guys make it all the way to the finals and put up a good show, Duck, and to see another win from you again, Osse.
Honestly, did not apparently skipped kindergarten with the sharing lesson.
Heckin' nah. You both played really great. Was a race where you both made some unfortunate routing choices that were just very reasonable. And then it came down to Osse ending up at the right items sooner, or the right location sooner, which classic SMZ3. But
yeah, like I said, the Graveyard Ledge would have.
yeah,
When I ended up doing stuff, Graveyard Ledge, and again, ironically, it was the high jump thing. Osse was like, "Yeah, you should definitely learn this." And like, if I had done it, like I probably, I mean, who knows? Like the whole seed would have gone differently for me, but certainly would have been. I mean, I still would have skipped the flippers when I go get those. Like, I'd probably still get them at the similar time, but, and not having a quake because I died in the extra
that
on the
was
way out.
Oh yeah.
Like, so I knew about it when I saw Meyer, but like, that's kind of why I didn't even check TR. I should have checked because I could have gone in, and I completely forgot about that. If it wasn't Quake, and I don't even know what it was. So
Yeah, Quake was the other one I was wondering about. If you kind of orphaned early on.
no, I got it, and then
you do X-ray early now.
Yeah, I was wondering if you're gonna. I've seen you not do it when your opponent can't do it. I haven't seen you race too many people who can do it. I guess Azure can do it. I don't know how many SMZ3 players. Farflu can't do it.
It was really just that one racing in Solski where I didn't do it.
Yeah, how'd that work out for you?
Well, now I check Sahasrilla before SM every time.
I skipped it this time because I saw you in chat in the last one. The duck does this every time, and I'm just like, that was like the one meta thing I did. I'm like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to switch it up. So, but yeah, I didn't do too much meta stuff, like, besides just like decide, like I'm going to be aggressive. And it looked good early, and then it just it completely dried up. And I was like, oh, that's not good. So, and then I was just like shocked when there was nothing in wreck ship when I was like, I made the right call. And, I was actually surprised to see the dot done around then but
Yeah, it was just like once Osse got to a Graveyard Ledge and got the Fire Rod.
Oh yeah, that's GG.
Like it leads right to the Ice Rod, and so if the Ice Rod's also off hiding in some other weird corner of the world, like the Fire Rod was, then game on, right?
Did you front of Skullwoods early?
Yeah, I did. But
okay, so since I didn't have flippers, I had to do the Skullwoods water walk thing. So I did it then. So I was thinking maybe if you had skipped it. I also know you don't like doing the middle chest, so I skipped that on purpose too. I was just like, I'll just do the front, and then because the main reason I was there was the water walk. But I'm like, well, I'm in the area, I might as well check these items. So. And then I found Hammer, and that was huge intel because that really narrowed down where flippers could be. And I was just hoping Hammer was going to lead to everything else. And then it was like, okay, if everything's behind Hammer, right, then like I have really narrowed down where these flippers are. And like I was thinking it was probably wreck ship.
Yeah, Hammer, Samaria all showing up there behind the sequence broken hook shot worked out really interestingly.
Yeah, it just gave me so much information. Unfortunately, it was just also behind Mirror. Like, that's just awful. So
I don't think there's too much else that I want to ask about this one. Was there anything else that you guys specifically wanted to bring up?
No, that's pretty much it.
It was an interesting seed to play. Vario was a surprise. On the other side note. But it was fun to race the seed. Then came down to where the items were.
Yeah, it'd been nice if it was closer, but like I said, at least it was up in the air till late, which is just how these go, and just unfortunate location. I like, again, honestly, like I don't even necessarily like put it somewhere that's great for me. Just put it like somewhere where we both just put both rods like in Lower Norfair or something. I don't know, and we'll see how that race finishes, but.
Yeah, it's been great racing you, Duck. It's been a great tournament overall. So Shout outs to tournament organizers. It's Metroid, Tracy. Thanks to Maniacal Ace on comms.
Yeah, appreciate it, Osse. GG, congrats on another win. Really well played. Good run this tournament with the one small Zemtuk hiccup there in the middle, but it made my run through the bracket until I ran into Duck a little bit cozier. So I think you ended up with kind of a rough side of things there with Ashdar in the quarters, I think, if I remember right. So like you had a pretty tough path to get through, and so definitely a good win.
I was mentioning this to Osse before. If my OBS didn't freeze in a way that I've never seen mine do, or anyone's
it was
ever
super
do,
weird. Yeah,
I've never seen that error ever.
No,
ever, and it hasn't happened again. I've never seen it to anyone else. If
because
that
your audio was still live, it was so weird.
I've never seen it, and the recording was also the same thing. Like, and like, but like on my local screen, it was fine. Like it was still playing. So it was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my entire life. If that didn't happen, this would have been the week 1 matchup, which is crazy. So
yeah, I mean, everyone who made brackets in this with, I can't even think of a single exception, had like a reasonable case for how they could make it through the brackets. Because I mean, it is best of 1 in a who gets to the items first type of game. So
yeah, I'm not like
it's crazy.
I'm just saying like some minor things happen. Like this isn't the finals. This is literally a week 1, and only one of us is even in the tournament. So
yeah,
just crazy.
It is, and that's like the bronze match that Bress and I are not going to play. That was literally the first match I played this tournament in groups, was me versus Bressingham.
Yeah, that's funny.
Like it's crazy how it all works out, but it was really great to see everyone come out to play. Really good tournament.
Yeah, me and Osse played twice last year. It was the same thing. So
yeah, GG's to both Duck and Osse, and huge thanks to Ace for letting me join him. If y'all haven't yet, obviously go follow these guys. Duck, even now in kind of walking through the end of the seed, showing off a lot of really cool, not necessarily race legal clips.
Oh, not very.
But they will get you to the end game pretty fast. But Ace, anything else you wanted to say? I'll let you close it out.
No, I just want to echo all those statements. Thanks for doing comments with me, Maniacal. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for everything for the tourney, and thanks for our tracker Ike here. Super appreciated as well, so that we can keep track of what's actually going on between the racers and not forget everything like I'm prone to do.
Yeah, Ike here kept us honest in chat, and so some other judicious viewers pointing out like, how did you guys not watch both screens at the same time? So yeah, Ike here absolutely essential for this not going completely off the rails. But
no, otherwise just looking forward to the in-person tournament. It's definitely different atmosphere, different feel to it, but a bunch more good races and getting to meet a bunch of you people for the first time. It's gonna be cool.
Doc, are you actually going to beat Ganon here?
No, no, that's it. That's the end.
Okay,
I was gonna say, what Ganon looks like.
Because I can hold this out for like another minute or two while we do this Ganon
I'm
fight.
not beating Ganon. I figured like I just wanted to talk a little bit, so I was like, that's good enough. There's no more glitching or anything. So
appreciate you guys coming in and chatting. It was great to get your insight on the race. Yeah, congrats to Osse on the win. Thanks again to Ace, and have a great night, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.